What a year it has been, Kaboom.
Oh boy, howdy. Yes, it has been.
Amazing. Yes. Thank you everyone for stopping by. This is the final stream of Year of the Mecha. And the final regular live stream of this channel, but that'll be explained later. Because right now, we have something very special to close out the year. You know, we've not missed a single week of mecha games throughout the year of 2023. Going from the early 90s to the modern day, and now we are ready to show a brand new game, one that came out just this year, has a wide variety have a wide variety of customization options to it, and it has even shot up to one of my favorite games of this year, like top 5 we're talking about, and this is already a very stacked year for video games. And that game is, drumroll,
Armored Core 3.
What?
Yeah, no, sorry, 6.
What? No, we played Daemon X Machina last week. That was Armored Core 6, right?
No, there's an actual Armored Core 6. Like it came out in like September, like wildly popular.
What?
All the top YouTubers have been doing it and failing miserably at it.
But no, that can't be right.
Oh god, not again. Look, Ark, we've been over this. Like we've been trying to tell you for ages. Armored Core didn't die in the car crash. It survived. There's a 6th one now.
No, it hurts. It hurts too much to remember. I can't.
You need to push past it. Like, this is unhealthy. Your obsession with no Armored Core games past like 2014. It's got to stop.
Oh, I mustn't run away. I mustn't run away. I mustn't run away. I mustn't run away. All right.
Really.
I admit it.
Mean that I'm Rei Ayanami in this situation. Jesus Christ.
I admit it. Armored Core 6 is real. It sucks. I've played it. I hate this game. Are you fuckers happy now? Is this what you wanted? Is this what you all came here to see? To watch me suffer a psychotic breakdown like Meek Stole in Desperate Living?
Yeah.
I hate the Supreme Court! Tell your mother I hate her! Tell your mother I hate Miyazaki!
Yeah, I'm probably the only person watching this actually gets that reference, and it's very appreciated.
Okay, but in all honesty, I can't keep up that attitude when talking about it because the game is too boring to justify it.
It's... like I've not actually played it because I kind of swore off Armored Core after 4. It is exceptionally pretty. I love the way that all the like you fire off your boosters and everything folds back into place like that. Oh, beautiful. There's just nothing there for me personally, so I'm kind of like, eh.
Yeah, it's like, okay, so this is like referencing that, like, I don't know, maybe people here like in chat have like seen it or have not, but like, have you followed any of like the videos from like Masahiro Sakurai's YouTube channel that he's been doing ever since finishing Smash Bros. Ultimate?
No.
Well, I guess like the quick explanation is that there's like a concept that he's frequently like discussed, but that he kind of like did a video on very early in the channel where he like talks about like the concept of game essence and how it is essentially like what is like the core of like what makes a video game like a video game, and how there is the opposing concept of broad appeal, and how those two things tend to like fluctuate in opposite directions based on one, where like, you know, chasing broad appeal often tends to reduce game essence, and you know, seeking more game essence tends to result in a more niche product.
Yeah,
I feel like Armored Core 6. Yeah. Armored Core 6, I feel like, was the result of them like trying to like push more for like that broad appeal at the extent of the game essence that I look for in an Armored Core game, let alone any classic FromSoft mecha game. Because like when I say like that game was like boring for me, like I really do mean it. I felt nothing from the 2 times I played. Like that's the important thing. Like I played it when it came out and bounced off. Then I played it a couple months later, and like both times it's like second time I got farther, but like as soon as I finished chapter 1 and got through Baltius, I was like, this is the fucking boss that everyone makes a big deal about being so goddamn hard and being obnoxiously prideful about being able to complete it before it got nerfed in one of the post-release patches. That I'm like, if this shit did not excite me, then nothing about this game after it ever will. Because
I watched a couple of streams of it, and I was like, okay, first one, good at setting the story, not really particularly interesting as a tutorial level, but that is what it is.
Yeah,
and then the first boss shows up, and I'm like, they literally shoehorned a Dark Souls boss into an Armored Core game. Like, why?
Yeah, it's like the things I can just break down as to like what's like stuck out to me negatively about it is that like the boost meter not immediately refilling when you are not using a boost action is horseshit. That is sacrilege. Number 2, being way more focused on being a lock-on based mecha game to the point that the camera is no longer tied to exclusively to your AC's back is fundamentally game-changing. Like that is a very different type of mecha game compared to like what the series was defined as for like the past 14 games. Yeah. And then there's just like self-repair kits, like just giving like your AC an Estus system makes no fucking sense.
They are literally Estus flasks now.
Yeah. The whole scan pulse thing is so lame, considering it feels like it was made under the idea that no one on the team understood why scan mode in 5th gen was so good. There's all kinds of other minor things regarding just like details regarding how like different like weapons work, the parts, like the fact that game, like all other Armored Core generations, like the way they start is that they generally give you enough stuff that's available in the shop right at the beginning that if you don't want to play with like the default like bipedal like middleweight AC, you can usually just like sell those parts off and immediately swap them to something else like heavier parts or different leg types. But the game is just so adamant for like pretty much like the entirety of like chapter 1 that again that I played through, where it is just wanting you to like stick to only playing like with a very, very limited set of like tools and options before they just slowly like expand like kind of like your options further to the point where it's like it feels like they are just damn afraid to fucking let you experiment and go loose. Like if you figure out like how the system works like on a core level, you should be allowed to like flex it as early as possible, and it just doesn't let you do that.
Yeah.
And then like, there's the matter of the stagger system, which is horrible. It's basically like everything that it's more or less everything that I expected it to turn out being, like pretty much ever since I first heard about it when like they announced that it was a major system mechanic. And like and of course it was something they included in there because they gave directorial duties for this game to the guy that made the combat for Simon Says Parry, the game.
Like don't get me wrong, it is entirely possible to have to do a Dark Souls like mech game. It's something personally I've wanted for years. There's a couple of PSP games, Rengoku 1 and 2. And the second one is basically where I would start if I wanted to do a Dark Souls style mech game. You could swap out all your body parts. There's weapons that you can mount in your head, your arms, your torso. The game is fast. The combat is great. You can do a mech Souls game. It's just not this one.
No, it's definitely not something with a game that is called Armored Core. And especially with like the stagger system, and just the biggest issue I have with it as well is how it is such a non-factor when it comes to just fighting regular enemies, because it doesn't take long for you to clue into the fact that stagger is such a prevalent part of this game that like the only weapons you should be bothering with are the ones that inflict maximum stagger as quickly as possible, which includes linear rifles, shotguns, bazookas, things of that nature. And then it's like, yeah, normal enemies are a joke until you get to bosses where they start applying like that Souls boss design mentality, where they end up going for way longer in terms of pacing than like they ever needed to in an Armored Core game, let alone any of their Mecha games prior. Like, it is so frustrating, like how like that's like the actual new mechanic of theirs that is so ruinous to me, and every other minor mechanical addition of AC6 I can immediately point to being pulled from either a previous Armored Core game or from another FromSoft Mecha game in their past lineup altogether. Like, especially with the ones where I especially noticed there were like explicit similarities to 5th gen, that it made me just think, like, I feel so bad for everyone that worked on Verdict Day. I feel so bad for like the people and like the director of that game from 10 years ago, and just the fact that like no one acknowledged or gave like the gameplay systems of 5th gen the time of day to like really understand that it was actually, for one, better than 4th gen, and B, even though it was not the same as, you know, what classic Armored Core was for its first 10 entries, like what was there still had the potential, if they had just continued to work on the series instead of putting it off to the wayside to focus entirely on Souls, we would have been up to the end of 7th gen by now, and probably had like more mechanical refinements and additions to that system that it could have been like much more on par with where the series was by the time of Last Raven or Silent Line. And instead, it's like many of those developers, you know, they're still at FromSoft, and they worked on 6 mostly like in pretty much the same core like fields, not really like changing in like I guess like seniority or like positions of leadership in those areas. And the worst part about it, because I had looked up the credits to cross-reference with the credits of Verdict Day, the director of both 5th gen games, he's listed on there, and the area he's placed in is under initial game director, the category that was made for Miyazaki, because he also was planning to direct this game at some point in the past 10 years before deciding to give it to his buddy that made Simon Says Perry, the video game.
I think just overall the biggest problem with the game is that it tries to be a weird hybrid between the two rather than just committing to one or the other. Like, either be a classic Dark Souls game or a classic Armored Core game, or just go all in with the Dark Souls, you know?
Or go all in with just the mecha in general, and, you know, maybe don't call it Armored Core, because I don't think I could stand to see this series continue long enough to, or maybe it is at this point, to basically be the Final Fantasy of mecha games.
Oh, wouldn't go that far. Like, there's still some redeeming aspects to it. Final Fantasy is just like the last, like, as far as I'm concerned, Final Fantasy shit the bed so hard. I refuse to even go near it these days. Like, maybe the spin-offs, but
but you get like the intent that I'm getting at, which is there was a point where the series was very much like sticking to like the systems that it had developed since the beginning and knew that it worked, and then refined them. But then they got it in their heads that somehow wasn't good enough anymore, and had to keep trying new ideas when it was clearly not working.
Yeah, it was a series that worked on iteration and improvement, and then after 7 came along and everyone was like, holy shit, games aren't meant to have graphics this good. They decided to, you know, focus on that and try and reinvent the wheel without actually understanding why they're doing it anymore. You know, why it works.
And then you get to stuff like 12 and 13, and it's like, these don't even like resemble the same turn-based like menu combat in any capacity.
Well, in fairness, 13 sucked because we in the West don't understand RPGs anymore.
And we don't love armpits as much as Toriyama.
Yeah, his waifu is, we're going to like her, whether we like it or not.
Never.
Sorry, I like women with personality and who don't speak in a monotone.
Yeah, it's just man, freaking like if the and the unfortunately, I guess, silver lining in Armored Core 6's case is that like my frustration with that game and the discourse around it made me go, it's like I hate the same thing so much. I couldn't possibly hate it more than 4th gen Armored Core, right? Cut to, I actually booted those two games up again for the first time in 5 years and played a little bit of each and was like, oh, thank God, AC6 isn't the worst Armored Core game.
It makes me think of, like, going back to Final Fantasy again. Every time a new game is released in the series, like every time a new game comes out, it is the worst game in the series so far.
Yeah.
And the previous worst game in the series, people look at it and they're like, huh, maybe it wasn't so bad. The exceptions to that
I've typically attributed that cycle to also being applicable to Zelda games, because that is so true over there.
The exceptions to that rule so far have been the 13 trilogy.
Yeah.
15.
Yeah, everyone seems to be in full agreement on those. Shocker.
Those two fucking suck. That is empirical fact at this point.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, I'm not real like Armored Core 4, the best anyone I've really seen in years, at least 5 years, that anyone has to say about it is at least it's not as bad as some of the recent games.
Yeah.
So, like, Armored Core 5, I think pretty much everyone just, they didn't exactly ignore it, but they were like, yep, it exists, moving on.
Again, that's why I said I felt so bad for the people that made Verdict 8, because they also made 5, and their generation is the one that gets treated as the black sheep when it does not deserve that.
Yeah, like I genuinely, I wanted to like AC4 because I wanted the faster gameplay, but it was too fast. I wanted the more interesting, varied environments, and all we got was desert and bloom.
Yeah,
and
like, it's too fast, and like kinesthetically feels too awful to really justify it, especially when FromSoft had Another Century's episode going on, like on the PS2, like around that same time. Obviously Japan only, but like, I mean, that does that shit way better. And that's ultimately like the thing is like, yeah, even though I could say Armored Core 6 is not as bad as 4 and 4 Answer for my money. And for that record, I could say also it's not as bad as Armored Core 2 Another Age. Whether it's worse than AC2, I feel like that's a bit up in the air for me, because again, I don't think because I think second gen is a bit kind of all over the place and sluggish. But like 6 still doesn't get around the problem I had that I still ran into with 4th gen, where it's like I could just play any of these other mecha games, FromSoft or otherwise, that are like that do a much better job at delivering on what this game is trying to go for. Like, I would rather go back to classic Armored Core, like 1st and 3rd gen. I would rather play 5th gen again. I would rather play Daemon X Machina, the game that I have been saying since 2019 was like the true Armored Core 6. I'd rather play Another Century's episode, especially if we're talking about games that are like mecha games that are built around like a hard lock-on system, especially with all the motherfuckers I've seen out there that have made Zone of the Enders comparison to AC6. And it's also like, my dude, you've also not played any of the games that came in the wake of the second runner and have like done that gameplay better. And then lastly, I would rather play any other Gundam game, including but not limited to the likes of Battlefield Record UC0081, Unicorn, or Battle Operation Code Fairy. And at least in Code Fairy's case, that game has a stagger system that makes way more sense, because instead of it being a fucking meter that you have to like constantly apply pressure to for God knows how long, it's just, every single hit from a weapon, with the exception of machine guns, puts you into a stagger animation. And that's important because it's based on a system built for PvP multiplayer, so you gotta have like team coordination to set up an entire stagger combo.
Yeah.
That is a way stronger identity for that type of thing than what AC6 has.
I think fundamentally, like, AC6 isn't a bad game. It's far from the worst game in the series.
Yeah.
But it's also a long way from good.
it still would never push into like my top 10, which is funny because there are now 15 mainline Armored Core games, and all the bad ones are like ones that are from 11 to 15. Ninebreaker is a better game than this.
It's really like it's the personification of mid.
Yes.
You know, it doesn't like aside from the graphics, which, as I said, I will go to bat for. The detail on the mech and all the systems is astonishing. But aside from that, it doesn't really do anything great. Like, as I said, like I played the demo and I was like, okay, where are we going with this? You know, like it didn't really feel like it went. Like, as I said, fundamentally, it just feels like it's a sorry midpoint between two series, and it never really commits to anything. It's just so wishy-washy, and in a series as iconic as Armored Core, that's kind of unforgivable.
Yeah, for a Mecha series that has always been like kind of prided on how focused and uncompromising it is on like the kind of mecha gameplay it provides. Again, like wraps back around to what I talked about, where Sakurai mentions the concept of game essence and broad appeal, like two concepts that are like diametrically opposed. They clearly went towards one side, and this is the result.
Yeah, and the thing is, even though they went in one direction, they still weren't able to properly pick a side, and it's like,
yeah,
what are we doing here? Like, it's the question that I keep coming back to, because it doesn't really feel like games like this should have a goal. They should have a plan. They should have an aim. Like, we want to deliver this kind of experience to the player. Great.
Right.
And, like, I can point to so many other different games. Like, I can point to Nier Automata and say, this is what the game is going for. I can point to Persona 5. I can say, this is what the game is going for. And I look at Armored Core 6 and I'm like, I don't know what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Like, you have some kind of agenda, some kind of goal going on, but I can't really say what it is.
Yeah, it's just the only thing about Armored Core that's back is the name.
Yeah.
But that's it. I feel like we've gone on long enough about it. That's it. You all know, like, I'm no longer hiding it. Yes, the game exists. I don't like it. Sorry for people that do like it, and that you had to hear this. And the people that I'm sorry to, I'm more specifically referring to my other 3 co-commentators that did like the game.
So that's been a really short stream.
Yeah, and also for the assholes out there that have been hounding me on Discord for months now, trying to get me to admit the game was real. Yes, I've already admitted it now, and you hear my opinions on it. That's it. Fuck you. It's done. Never ask me or talk to me about anything Mecha ever again. But yeah, that's... what a fucking downer, isn't it? I mean, like, I had something planned, or at least I thought I had something planned, but then I just had to be reminded, I had to confront the truth. And now the truth is that because that's what counts for good mecha games now, is that there's nothing for me anymore after that. It's just a barren wasteland. There's no hope.
Kind of
or
a bummer,
is there?
Really. Like, I mean, what's that spy over the horizon yonder?
Surprising everyone! Coming in at the last fucking minute from D3 Publisher, a Christmas miracle has arrived! It's Custom Mech Wars!
Ah! Surprise, fuckers!
Kept you thinking that I was not gonna have anything after that rant, did I?
And to be fair, you wouldn't be wrong in believing that.
Yeah. God bless this fucking game. I have been playing it since it came out on December 14th, like practically like 2 weeks straight, getting everything ready for this finale. and to be fair, what I was leading up to, everything I said before I had to reveal the truth about Armored Core 6, this was actually true. I did say it came out this year. I said it has a wide range of customization options. And it is in my top 5 games for this year.
Oh, so you're not streaming it on my side?
Wait, what? I thought it...
Nope. Blank screen.
Oh, god damn it.
Weren't gonna get out without at least one fuck up.
Hold on, let me try sharing this again. Is it still showing up in Discord for you?
No. Give me a sec. Yeah, just showing a blank screen.
What the hell? Oh, god damn it. Well...
I'll just watch the stream then.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. I assume, I assume that even though you're getting a blank screen, it's still at least showing you it's still playing the audio, or is that not happening?
No, it's not showing me anything, but I'm signed into Twitch anyway, so I can still see it.
What are my top 5 this year, or is it the haram to ask it Mecha Sacred Ground? No, well, my top 5 going from, like, 1 to 5 is Hi-Fi Rush, Turbo Overkill, Wanted Dead, System Shock Remake, and Custom Mech Wars. Before this game came out, number 5 would have been Super Mario Bros. Wonder, which, that game's still really great, but, I mean, it also would have been nice if the game had just a bit more teeth to it in terms of difficulty. But, whatever. Again, stacked year for video games, 2023.
Yeah. I think I just mostly played older stuff. Like, I played newer stuff like Lies of P. I just picked up Persona 5 Tactica. Finally finishing off Persona 5 Royal. I'd played through the original up to one of the worst boss encounters in the entire game. And then just as I got there, they were like, "Oh, by the way, we're releasing a new version," and I was like, "Oh, well, fuck that! I'm not going to play that until it comes out again."
Yeah.
And then because I was mostly going over literally like 80 hours of gameplay that I'd already done, I kind of put it on the back burner for a long time. So I haven't played Persona Strikers or Tactica yet until I'm finishing that. You say System Shock Remake, fantastic game. Pretty much exactly what I wanted from a System Shock remake, and now it's making me hope the rumors of a remake of 2 are true. And yeah, just as I said, just mostly been playing older stuff, mostly RPGs.
Yeah.
So not too much this year that came out for me, to be honest.
Yeah. So obviously with this game, Custom Mech Wars, customs in the title. There's obviously a lot of customization, and I have prepared 5 custom units for this demonstration. So I should obviously go into showing off, how this all works, really. So
okay, let's break this down, literally metaphorically.
Yes. So when it comes to creating a G-Mech, that is the name of the pilotable robots in this game. It all starts with selecting your key parts, and when it comes to selecting key parts, the game will allow you, even though it will benefit you like not at all. You could literally just start by like selecting a pair of legs, and that's enough to count as a G-Mech. Because you need something that can move.
And they get silly.
Yeah.
Like the trailer has, what was it? Like a pair of legs and 7 duck heads.
Yeah. Or it's like a car with like a tower of a dozen heads stacked on top of each other like a totem pole. Yeah, but the idea is that with the legs, like those are the first parts you have to assign, and the thing is that you'll see with the equipped icon, like see if I go down to chest, you see there's the 2 colors. Like the blue equip icon basically means that that is the first of those key parts in that category you assign it, and that is the one that will determine its core stats. And obviously when it comes to legs, it's like when you choose your key leg part, you cannot put it in a weird position. It will always be assigned in like an upright manner, as shown here, because it needs to move. But it can include all sorts of things, obviously like bipedal legs, of which I do have a lot. Again, I've been playing this game for like 50 plus hours at this point. Can I make Zoids? Funny you mentioned that. Yes, you can. As I continue to scroll down further and further, we got horse legs with, so we got quadrupeds. We got a 6-legged spider tank that you can make with that if you want.
Nice.
We got hover parts. You know, like this leg part in particular definitely looks like it would fit as like a kind of like a typical aerial drone. And then oh yeah, we also got tank treads if we want, and we got cars and trains, and also some leg parts from the EDF series. Yo, Neff! Yo, thanks for dropping by. You came at a good time because you missed me being angry at Armored Core 6. Sorry about that. But it's okay, we're in the game now.
The stream was like, Armored Core 6 sucks, and here's why.
Yeah. Yeah, and then, yeah, when it comes to, like, the torsos, like, I guess as far as describing, like, what each part does, legs are obviously what determine, like, your movement speed, and, like, other stats related to that. Like, there's all kinds of, like, it shows you, like, in the bottom left, like, what stats that it contributes to, and how that then gets added to your total stats on the bottom right. You know, so like, and then, of course, with the chest section, when you assign the key part, it always is assigned to, like, the waist of the legs. It cannot be adjusted, which is why I have, like, a second chest part that I basically combined into the mesh itself to kind of give it a unique shape, because that's the fun part with putting all these parts together, with it's like chest, heads, arms, and etc., is like combining parts together, even if they are clipping into each other, so that it looks like they have formed a new shape.
Okay, that's surprising. That they would allow you to have parts clip into each other like that. Like, I would have honestly thought that anything like that would be like, no, this is going to completely destroy the game and make everything terrible forever. But
fortunately, this is D3 Publisher, the patron saints of low-budget gaming. They don't give a fuck.
The warrior god kings of jank.
Yeah. So, and because of that, an important thing to note is that with these 5 key parts, this game does have, like, a part durability system where each individual part can take damage to the point that it breaks off. And if at any point the leg and chest pieces get destroyed, the G-Mech just automatically self-destructs. Because those 2 parts, it cannot operate without either of them.
So is it just if one or the other goes, or does it have to be
one
both?
or the other? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but like generally, yeah, because it's because again, kind of getting back to what I mentioned, it's like you could theoretically just make a G-Mech that is just a pair of legs, and the legs are the bare minimum you need for it to work. So of course, if the legs get destroyed, it's donezo. Oh yeah, and also, like, one thing to mention is that when you assign arms, to your G-Mech, of which you can assign right and left arm, when you select it, you'll be given an option to then assign it a handheld weapon if it's available. Which then ties into the second major customization category of armaments.
Yeah, the one that everyone likes playing about with.
Yeah, like, because as you can see here, I now have, like, on my right arm, I have, like, in my hand, a Gatling gun with, like, a bazooka and shotgun, like, grafted to it as well. I have 4 submachine guns, like, melded into the center of, like, my torso, so I've got quadruple chest Vulcans. That shoulder pauldron on my left is a space beam, like, or it's a big laser cannon, in addition to, like, my laser rifle that is being held in the left hand. And that's just for main weapons, which are you point and you press the button, and then they fire in that direction. Heavy weapon Arc Custom. Well, I mean, that's why I shortened this to the Arc Omega, because this is the Omega customization system. It is a version of the Arc that surpasses all of the versions of this design that I have made in the Armored Core games. Oh yeah, and I should also mention that when it comes to just being able to make all kinds of weird additions and just put parts wherever, is that I have a third arm, technically. I have, like, a smaller left arm that is an auxiliary used to, like, kind of, like, hold, like, a piece of metal that is attached to the triple gun fusion on the right arm, because it's obviously heavy.
Of course. I mean, like, naturally, that would be the kind of armament you would expect on a battleship.
Yeah.
Never mind a bipedal mech that looks like it's made out mostly of neon tubes.
Yeah. Also, the idea of an auxiliary arm. I mean, like, I've seen that before in other mecha before, like the Levitine, which Sosuke gets in near the end of Fullmetal Panic: Invisible Victory, also has that same function because it has like a giant fuck off rail cannon or something like attached to it. So like that's basically like an extra arm that he uses to give it stability.
Just one small detail. Side note, nothing really major. Did you have to mount it on the ground?
It's above it. It's more like the abdomen.
It's at the bladder and it still looks suggestive.
No, because if you really want to think about it, it's like the thing directly below it. That's the actual dick. But no,
knife dick.
Yeah, knife dick. Yeah.
Well, you know, comb your hair.
I mean, let's be fair. We think back to the first trailer for this game, the one that I had shown when we played Super Control Mecha MG. One of the designs they literally promoted was Drill Dick Bot.
Yes, it's. Let's be honest, they were expecting people to make dong mechs.
Yes, I've definitely done it in my spare time when coming up with random designs that never got committed to, but it's still funny.
I mean, yes, it's like building dicks in Minecraft. You're gonna do it at some point. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah. But yeah, the other weapon types, there's the sub/lock-on, which are, like, the idea behind them is that they are made to fire onto, like, locked-on targets, in which case I have a triple arrangement of octo electromagnetic beam launchers, which, you know, basically shoots out like homing blue lasers. It's a light show. It's real pretty.
It's been a while since I've seen any kind of game like this that lets you mount multiple missile racks or anything like that together, you know, and like actually fit them together like Lego pieces. Like,
yeah,
literally, I can't remember any game letting you do anything like that since about Armored Core 2 or 3.
Yeah. And then we have melee weapons, which those can also appear as either like handheld variants, and the ones that can be either held in the hand or mounted. In which case, I have a rather unorthodox position for these pile bunkers, where they're attached to the leg.
Yeah, I was confused because I thought those were actually like...
You thought those were part of the leg itself.
I thought those were like anchors for artillery, but then I noticed you don't actually have any artillery, and this doesn't strike me as the kind of game that would include those kind of physics.
No, definitely not. But it's fun because, like, when you just charge towards, like, a giant G-mech while flying, you could just press the melee button and basically stomp the fucker to death.
Okay, that's kind of cool.
Granted, it's kind of a double-edged sword because colliding your legs with it will cause damage to the legs on your G-mech itself, so you don't want to use it too often.
Yeah. But it's a last ditch or an emergency weapon. Comes in handy, I imagine.
Yeah. Then we got auto units, which are weapons that fire automatically at targets that are within your aim window. So naturally, I've got two of them directly mapped to like the front like chest of the mech. And then there's not really specific weapons itself, but critical. The idea behind it is that say you've equipped a bunch of weapons in one category. If you press the button that fires main weapons, they'll fire all of them. But there might be a weapon you've thrown in there that has significantly less ammo than the rest, but it is extremely powerful. So naturally, you would want to save it for like specific, you know, critical moments in this case. Which is why I have a giant fuck-off laser beam that is mounted to the, like, eye sockets. It only holds, I think, like, it only holds 15 shots. That's what it says under total ammunition. But if I need to apply that last push of damage on a really tough enemy, I just press the button to fire it on top of everything else I've got.
I have to say, I am genuinely impressed with the customization here.
Yeah, and we didn't even get into accessories yet, which is where the bulk of it really comes in. Because these are for parts where, like, you know, they also have their own durability of their own, but they also, you know, they don't factor much into, like, the actual physical performance besides adding weight and health points to your G-Mech. I mean, like, you look at total HP, I am almost at 500k, and that is because of just all these parts I have had assigned to it and been, like, kind of reinforcing as time goes on. Because as you can see, I've got, like, you know, like those lights that I had on the front of like my chest piece, like those were actual accessories I had embedded into the chest itself. And then there's like you know, like samurai armor pieces I've got placed all over to kind of blend in as well. The only thing that's like kind of disappointing for me is how like you can see on some of these, there's the category of installation effects that's like gimmicks or lights or something like that. And the thing is that I wish that there were like more installation effects that were on all of these that influence the stats beyond just adding to your weight count and health points. Yeah, it's something where it's like, it's one of those few things where, for as robust as the customization is, you eventually do come across some limitations and are like, this could be expanded on a bit. But the fact that like it still takes a while for you to realize that's the case, I mean, like, that's still impressive. I mean, also, like, one of the other customization aspects is just this gigantic like back tripod fin, because that's always been like so I guess like personal idea to kind of go about like how I've kind of dreamed of like various mecha games I've wanted to make like in years past, and coming up with like my own mecha designs that would accompany it. I always imagined the idea of having like a mecha where it was like either mounted to the waist, or the back would be like a deployable, like basically allow it to transition into like a tripod setup. You know, like have a game where it's designed around the idea of this is a very mobile like suit, like a piece of equipment, but it's using such heavy duty weapons that the recoil on it obviously would have to be insane.
Yeah.
It was actually born, I think, specifically out of the fact that I thought it was an absolute scrub take that people were always complaining about, the back-mounted cannons in Armored Core requiring you to stand in place in order to shoot.
That makes perfect sense. It's heavy artillery. You need to do that.
Yeah,
like you can't fire you can't fire like you know, like heavy artillery on the move, because it'll completely destroy itself.
Yeah. And I guess one thing that should be important to note as far as like how the how applying parts work is that when you select a part, you can see all these wrench icons. Those are the hard points, and the amount of hard points will vary on the type of body part itself. Like some chest pieces might have more spots to mount things than others, for instance. Same for legs, arms, etc. And when you find a hard point, you get these categories where you can move it or rotate it on the X, Y, and Z axis relative to its hard points, you know? So not relative to the world space, which can be kind of a blessing or a curse, depending on if you're trying to get the angle just right. But then, but in the case of accessories, you have the option to either scale it down by 50 or scale it up by 50, if you so choose. Because when it comes to weapons and body parts, the way it works is that they are always broken up into distinct size categories: small, medium, and large. And because of how important legs are as being necessary to go into battle, large legs naturally are going to result in a much slower moving G-Mech compared to small legs. So the size definitely contributes to the, you know, like speed. And obviously it'll even like contribute to like your max weight limit. So that's the trade-off. It's like, you want something slow but carries a lot of stuff, or you want something that moves fast but you have to make more conscious decisions about what you equip on it. And even then, with a small size leg like I got here, I still managed to cram a fuck ton of things on here.
I mean, with the hard point mounting and all that, it kind of reminds me of a mech-based version of Resonance of Fate.
Oh, yes.
That,
yes, I played that. I remember.
With like 30 silencers and only one ammo drum.
Yeah, the only thing that was disappointing about that system is that it never manifested on the model itself. But then again, it's like, how could you ever make that work?
Literally, the characters would need a forklift to use it. Never.
Yeah.
Considering how much they leap about and all the acrobatics they do, I think they kind of made the best choice they could.
Yeah, they understood that it was better to just focus on the fashion design.
Yeah, they knew what they had, and they went, you know what, we're going to do this.
Kaboom, the Cyber Millennium just mentioned, I guess, that there's like some like rattling background noise on your end from the.
It might be the only thing I can think of is it might be my chair. My chair is kind of falling apart, to be perfectly honest. We've kind of had trouble with my side, most before we were starting the stream. I don't know what that could be. Is it constant or is it just occasional?
It feels like constant, like mostly like when you're talking.
Okay, just check the. It's fine. Don't know what that could be. Sorry.
Okay. Well, okay. I think it's better for now. And yeah, Neff is also like making a good recommendation. If you people haven't, do watch the trailers for Custom Mech Wars. They are all gems. Like D3 publisher, unsung heroes of like entertaining game trailers. They have soul and personality to them in ways that other publishers would never dare have.
You can tell that this was done by people that had a hand in the EDF series, is all we're saying.
Yes, though not made by Sandlot specifically. There's no real overlap in the credits, and they don't even mention that Sandlot was the principal developer on like the Steam page. But yes, this was made with a very Sandlot energy to it.
They had a goal, they had an assignment, and they understood both of them perfectly.
Yeah. So we had already like shown off like my GMech, but what about these other four? Well, to go inside with how I called this game a Christmas miracle from D3 Publisher, I decided to extend that Christmas spirit by giving all of my co-commentators who have been so supportive and in joining me on this journey of Year of the Mecha by creating custom GMechs for them.
Yeah, I was asked when we were arranging this stream. Art came up to me and basically went, "Okay, so if you could have your perfect mech, what would it be?" And I did not know what you were planning until you said, "Yeah, well, this is what I'm doing." And then you said what you were planning on doing, and I was like, "Okay, challenge accepted." Yeah.
So starting off. For Nephilim Blackburn, we have a mecha where the name and like core design is actually based on something she already has. Like some time ago, she had commissioned a piece for her own custom mecha, which is called the Abaddon. I will say, though, like, with all the parts I could get, sorry, Neff, I could not find a scythe weapon in this game, but I hope dual swords is sufficiently edgy enough for you.
I'm genuinely surprised they don't have an energy scythe.
Yeah.
Like, I get the feeling they would have put in as many references to other shows, kind of like with, like, the WWE games, where it's like, you can't get this wrestler, but we've got, like, 50 custom parts that'll let you club it together. So I'm kind of surprised that they didn't have anything like that, just so that people could do the Death Scythe custom.
Yeah, but as it stands, you know, I've got equipped on the Abaddon, dual swords, dual pile bunkers that are attached to like the knee pads, so facing up instead of down, and then coming from the abdomen is a spinning rotary blade. Again, I know you think it looks like it's coming from the dick, but it's the abdomen. But,
I'm just thinking that's the best murder hugs I can imagine.
Yeah.
Let me hug you.
Yes, hug of death. Yeah, but that said, it's not just a melee unit as well. Like obviously, because this game, it ultimately, when you see it in action, it does play more shooter focused. That I still gave it some ranged weapons, which is why I've got like little chest cannons. I've got shoulder mounted shotguns and like shoulder mounted. As well as shoulder-mounted missile launchers. So the idea is that you still have some ranged options, but obviously the fun with this unit is getting up close, hitting the melee button, activating all 5 weapons, and then just melting them before the contact damage completely melts the Abaddon.
Just shredded like cabbage. And can I just say, Rip Tabs is the worst pun I can imagine for this.
Oh, no.
10 well done.
And, yeah. Next GMech, in honor of you, Kaboom. It is everyone's favorite, Satan's favorite pet capybara got a major fucking upgrade.
Holy shit.
It's Mr. Piggles!
Oh, Mr. Pickles!
Anyone that doesn't know
Wow.
what the fuck we're talking about, watch the Devil's Third Let's Play. I am no longer asking.
This is a demand. You need to understand the deep lore.
Yes. So this was going off of what you had recommended to me, and obviously, like, I did initially start with like being as close to your idea before deciding that once I had all the other designs, that this needs to be more ridiculous in order to stand out.
Oh, I am fully on board with absurd robots, and this has delivered in spades.
Yeah, I mean, look at that. Like, I combined the heads in a way to make it look like it's a bigger head with its mouth open. I gave it a red mohawk, you know, to fit the. I believe what you described it as a punk rock Ava unit.
Yes, my description was incredibly skinny and fast, with a mohawk. And enough Gatling guns to make the heavy arms custom. Think it was overcompensating.
Yes, in which case, I do have like the maximum amount of main weapons equipped on this. Like, you can have only up to 10 main weapons. Same for sub-weapons, melee weapons, and auto units. You can only have 10 of each. So, yes, this is a unit I had designed explicitly for the purpose of if you just want to hold down the fire button and unleash all the Daka.
It looks like if Satan designed a Zoid.
Yes, that's why it's called Mr. Pickles.
I am impressed in ways I cannot put into words. Like, it is beautiful.
and for real though, like, a head opening its gaping maw to reveal a Gatling gun, that's a strong image.
It reminds me so much. I'm pretty sure there's a couple of like the more insane Digimon that do stuff like that. Once you start getting into like, this is a demon that's also a mech and it has enough guns to take on the entire orc army.
Yeah.
So, holy shit.
Yeah. Also, Hasio, like you said, the LP archive, that Devil's Third LP that's on there is not the one I made. That was by Chaos Argate. That, like, mine was done years later. I never got it uploaded to the LP archive, but you can find it on the YouTube channel. Like, it's got the playlist for it. Looks like something either designed by a 14-year-old mecha edgelord or the sex toy industry for a viral meme challenge.
Something, porque no los dos.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about attaching things to the dick. Where do you think that gigantic Gatling gun is positioned?
I don't know. The scary codpiece kind of draws the eye away from pretty much everything.
Yeah, something like that. Whatever, like the spiky plates are obviously there for additional shielding, you know?
Yeah.
You don't want it going out there completely naked.
Which, I don't know, I'm fairly certain with the amount of Uzis, because I noticed it's got two, like, tiny little raptor arms by the side holding them.
Yes, that was especially fun for me to assign to it.
Like, I would be amazed if anything could get within visual range of it with all the bullets that are going to be flying out.
Oh, yes. The end point of getting into slash fiction right there. Okay, next G-Mech. Going to Millennium Cyborg. This one was, like, I think kind of the easiest one for me to figure out, considering her aesthetic, like, for her character in stream is very strong. It is called the Y2K. It is very sleek, late 90s vision of futuristic and very shiny. Yeah, this thing is, and this was, like, a fun one to put together, because the idea is, like, as you can see, like, the concept behind this is that it is like, essentially a floating platform where the real Millennium Cyborg is standing atop triumphantly, arms crossed. I even made use of the, because I bought this game, I pre-purchased it along with the like the Ultimate Edition, which gave me a bunch of extra parts and bonus missions and whatnot. And one of those, part of the pre-order bonus, included a kind of creepy looking anime human head, human girl looking head. So, but I decided, I think that fits enough for the Millennium Cyborg aesthetic. You know. So, and everything about this, again, this is like her standing atop what is essentially a floating gun platform with basically exclusively energy weapons, like lasers and electromagnetic weapons. Especially when you see it in action, there's like a whole bunch of like electromagnetic launchers that are arranged in a ring along the lower end. That ring actually rotates. So when we see that in action, it's going to be the biggest light show ever. Oh yeah, and there's also, I guess, like a tiny mini robot that's standing in front of Millennium Edge. You see that's attached to the platform that has like a little chest beam plate. So this I need to actually show this. Find it here in the accessories. No, wait, that's armaments, right? Main weapon. Yes, the VW X400. This is basically like if you ever wanted to make your own bootleg Mazinger Z, you could just assign this and it works because it's just a chest beam. It unleashes breast fire. It's pretty good. Yeah. Oh wait, I think Kaboom. Oh, Kaboom needed to mute for something. So okay, that explains why it was just me. Oh well, I can continue.
Sorry, I was coughing and I didn't realize I hadn't unmuted myself.
Oh,
no,
whoops.
I was gonna say, yeah, my bad entirely. But no, I was saying, I imagine you could probably do a really good bootleg Gurren Lagann with that as well.
A bit, yeah. I mean, there are drill weapons. Like, if you get enough drills, you could literally put them, like, on the shoulders, the knee pads, everywhere. Definitely.
Nice.
Yeah. But I do love the just how everything about this designed to be, like, that Y2K future aesthetic with a bit of, like... I guess I made it with an almost reverence to Millennium herself. Because of just, like, the giant, like, Asura sort of halo. Like, giant neon ring that's behind her back.
Yeah. No, that is really cool. I don't know if you caught what I said, like, whenever I hit mute. But it reminds me of an anime, a CGI anime that came out years ago called Fireball. Which had a very sleek... metallic white robot girl in it called Drossel, and it's very reminiscent of that.
Yeah. And now for the last one. I don't think Cool Guy made it in here yet, but whatever, I can at least show it to him after. Behold, a mecha that is named in honor of the video game he has been working on all year and is getting very close to leaving early access, actually. Called the Endless Dark. Do not be fooled by the initials on the side. The ED stands for Endless Dark, not Earth Defense. I don't know exactly what the F might have been made for. Probably Frank, because look who's sitting on top here.
Endless Dark Falafel.
Endless Dark Fumofu. But yes, sitting on top, having had enough of the suffocating system, having to serve as the robot custodian aboard the colony ship drifting through space, Frank has finally gotten a new lease on life and put together a giant robot so that he can live out his fantasies.
It's like that, do all the things, but in this case, it's murder all the humans.
Yes. And yes, this is the one robot where it's most explicitly, I did put a weapon on the dick itself.
Yes, that is a drill dong, a dildo, if you will.
Dildo. Perfect. And this is the one where this is actually, I forgot to mention when it came to the Y2K, but like that one and the Endless Dark are both my medium class mecha, as it were. These are the ones that have the medium sized leg parts as their key components. And in the case of, this is definitely a full-on medium-sized mecha. I mean, this is a fucking... It's funny, like, I was going through ideas as far as, like, what mecha do I want to make in honor of Cool Guy? I was initially joking to myself, I could probably just make something that's like a Warhammer 40k Dreadnought or something and call it the Elven Genocider. But it did kind of lead to the idea of... I'm sure you would appreciate the idea of one that's, like, the more Western style, bulky walker type of mecha.
Yeah, just a box with legs, arms, and shitloads of guns.
Yeah, at which point I do have maxed out every main weapon, every sub lock-on weapon, and every auto unit that you could equip. Not every melee weapon, though. If I did, I would hopefully have gotten, like, more rotary blades to attach to the right arm. I already have 3, and that's on top of, like, a pile bunker. But I mean, like, look at those, like, missile launchers that are in a big cluster along, like, the back right there.
I love that kind of thing.
Yeah, plus the extra 3 smaller missile launchers that are affixed to the left shoulder. And yeah, obviously with the EDF initials being on there, that is because I did purchase like the Ultimate Edition of this game, which did come with a bonus side campaign that lets you unlock the parts for the various Earth Defense Force mecha.
So you can't make an ant mech?
No, but you can make a Nyx, a Barga, or a Balam.
It's not that bad, I suppose.
Yeah, you can also make the giant,
like actual spider legs.
Yeah, I mean, you can also make the ECM tank, like the big tank that has the giant, actually like the big laser gun with like the kind of the radar-looking dish that I actually have attached here. Oh yeah, and also just to add to this, to the idea that this mecha was probably retrofitted from the original ship in Endless Dark. That's where the actual cockpit is. It's the accessory that it goes by. It's called a dummy cockpit because it's obviously not where the pilot would be situated.
Yeah.
So that is all the G-mechs we have that we have for today. And considering the hour or so that we have spent ranting about Armored Core 6 and showing like what you can create, I think it's time we show what playing custom mech wars is really like.
Do we really have to? I mean, we've already shown off the best part of the game.
Yes, we do, because we need to get introduced to some characters.
I have to say, though, it is genuinely impressive. Like, fundamentally, you know, you are dealing with a bunch of parts that are, you know...
OBS Scuff continues to rear its ugly head, even until the very end.
Just finish as we went on.
Yeah, so, yeah, we're getting into this. Every time you select the mission, you get this cool little briefing screen that shows what the inside of the G-Mech cockpit is like.
Nice.
Yeah, it should have updated OBS sometime. Yeah, but if I did, it would break all my Stream Effects plugins.
The cockpit kind of reminds me of the cockpits from Steel Battalion.
Yeah.
The more advanced ones.
Yeah. I mean, they're also very Gundam-like.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and also you have, like, a sortie animation where you, like, get catapulted from the hangar. There's something funny about that, actually. As part of the customization of this game, you can actually customize the camera angles that take place during that launch animation.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I actually have that for the, what was it? The, like, my main, the Arc Omega. There we go.
Yeah, as I was saying, like, essentially you are dealing with all the same parts, basically. Like, you can change the color and the position of everything, but, you know, you're gonna wind up with, you know, some similarities between the things that you do. But the fact that you have managed to create 5 different mechs that all look so different and all look like they adhere to a completely different archetype, like, this one looks like it stepped right out of Virtua On.
Yeah.
Mine looks like it's from some kind of post-apocalyptic nightmare. You've got the death pod.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's like they all look so fundamentally different, and that is impressive as hell.
Yeah. And, like, I probably would not have been able to come up with those had I not gotten the idea in my head to, like, make it as a sort of tribute to you guys.
Yeah. Like, I would be lying if I said that, you know, like, Mr. Pickles does not suit me down to the ground.
Yes.
Bit kind of junky, bit kind of spiky, and enough artillery to completely melt a mountain. Yeah, that's what I would say would be my mech.
Yeah. So as far as playing the game, it is, as you might see, noticeably more simple than the amount of effort it goes into customizing a G-Mech.
Oh, 100%.
Like this is basically like this is the thing where you see it in action, you go, oh yeah, this is a D3 published game.
Yeah, there's It's the arena is shall we say workmanlike?
Mm-hmm. And even the animations themselves are like they're trying to avoid doing as many animations as possible with like kind of how the legs work and the fact that it's just you know that like just everything everything above the legs when you're not doing anything is super static.
Yeah, the torso is extremely stiff, but it's kind of like, do you want customization or do you want it to look pretty?
Yeah,
fundamentally. And to be honest, I would much sooner have the customization.
It's just a 40k playfield. Let me whip out the ruler.
Pretty much.
Yeah, you probably could build a Titan from like 40k, or at least a close approximation to it, considering I think even Titans are still... I think they're still way larger than even like the large-size G-Mechs you can make in this game.
Titans are about... I think the smallest is roughly like half a mile in height.
Yeah.
Something ridiculous like that.
I just know that they emphasize the size as being so ridiculous that when they're represented in tabletop, it's like a single like playfield in a tabletop game of 40k. Like their foot would take up the entirety of it.
Yeah, if you're doing it to scale, then really the only way to play anything to scale is if you're doing the epic 40k, where like each unit is an entire like 5 or 6 individual models by itself. And even then, the Titans are roughly the size of a toddler.
Yeah, it's yeah, like that's basically like if you were to play like proper to scale 40k, you needed like to actually have a representation for the Titan. You would just get like your nephew or something, your 3-year-old nephew, and just put them in like a robot costume. Tell them to go to town.
Just staple some cardboard boxes to their t-shirt and like, well, you stay there until I tell you to move, Billy.
Just just put like a cardboard box on top of him that just has Gundam written in Sharpie.
I wanna be a Gundam. Well, this is the closest you can get, so shut up already.
Yeah.
This is also why I'm not allowed to have kids.
Yeah, me neither. That's why my sister's gonna be a mother in like several months from now.
My condolences to the child.
Don't worry, I'm looking forward to becoming the uncle they talk about in hushed tones.
No, like we don't invite him to family gatherings anymore. It's complicated.
The complication is that I don't do well with kids.
He keeps bringing up lore, and frankly, we don't know what that means, and we're afraid to ask at this point. So we just smile politely, nod, and back out the door.
Yeah. So, like, through that demonstration of, hell, Ark, welcome to my world. Oh, well, I guess I'll know what it's like soon enough, Arian. But yeah, playing this game, kind of how it works out is that, you know, you could think of it as being like a rudimentary imitation of classic Armored Core, I think is the best way you could describe it, because it's like, it is moving and strafing, and aiming is independent from movement. You have like a lockbox, although like when it comes to the main weapons, it's expected that you have to be very precise with your aim. Like you actually have to line up enemies with the center. The lockbox is basically for your sub weapons. You know, like anything that's in that range, your sub lock-on weapons will home in on.
Yeah, I noticed with the sort of energy beams that you were firing, you had to be exceptionally precise with them.
Yeah, but as you play through it, kind of like EDF, you do pick up objects from the enemies that you defeat. There are some of those include like actual parts that you pick up. Those are like the yellow canisters, at which point you see these and they show you their size, their rarity level as indicated by the stars, and their level. When it comes to level, that's what the strengthened parts tabs refers to, because the red boxes strengthen parts that are either in your inventory of mecha that are on standby, or just like strengthened parts that you pick up or like have in your total inventory altogether. And the idea behind strengthening them is that it does have an impact on their weight and their HP count. So it's funny. It took me so long to realize this was the case after weeks of playing, until I paid attention to my starting HP, going through like the harder difficulties and being like, hold on, is my HP getting bigger? Because I have not swapped out any parts in a while. And then after paying close attention, I was like, oh yeah, as these parts strengthen, as they increase in level, so do like their health values and like their weight and durability. So that's the thing. It's like even if you were to switch to an entirely new part that has better stats, but is at level 1, you kind of have to be careful going in because chances are it would very likely be able to get blown off. So there's a slight risk.
So essentially, you're leveling up the parts rather than picking up 500 redundant copies of the same one with maybe like 1 or 2 points of difference between them.
Yes, and every time, and if you happen to pick up another part that is of that exact same like size and rarity level, it does not have its own individual strength level. Like they're all basically consolidated into the same level pool for that rarity and size.
So it levels up to whatever the highest level part is, essentially.
Exactly. Yes.
That is such a good, because some of the earlier EDF games didn't really do that. They certainly didn't level them up, but you would wind up picking up like 50 weapons, and they would all be ones that you already had, so they were essentially useless. And it's why like the later games are so much better, because they streamline a lot of it.
Yeah.
So it feels like they've taken that from EDF specifically.
Yeah, and even then, this game, I think, still does, like, some things with, like, its itemization and, like, loot progression that I wish EDF or just Sandlot in general would do more of. Mainly the sense that, as soon as you pick up a new part and get it into your collection, you could go into, like, a separate research and development menu and just develop more of that same part if you so choose.
Cool. So you can, essentially buy level ups for it at that point.
Yeah, although the thing is that like the level up, like strengthening their level, still won't happen unless you actually go into missions and, you know, get the strengthening bonuses. Right. But it's like if you need like an extra pair of Gatling guns and you finally unlocked the ones that are the medium size class that you've been trying to get for so long, you could then totally go and do that.
That's something that I wish more games would do.
Yeah, again, I wish EDF would do that so that, like, your progression for your character wasn't solely tied to your ability to pick up these fucking item boxes.
That's something that is, like, we've been playing EDF 4.1 for my friend Fiendly's stream, and the problem with, like I was saying, the problem with the EDF games is you either go nowhere with any good weapons, or you get one and it carries you for like a third of the game, and the rest of the time you're just picking up trash. It's
ridiculous. And especially because I talked to you about this before, but like there was like a game that was that Sandlot had made on the Wii called Zangeki no Regen Leave, where the idea is that basically, like, you know, it's Norse EDF, but the idea is that, like, when you defeat enemies, you don't pick up weapon drops from them. What you pick up are, like, materials for crafting, because all the new weapons you get are entirely, like, relegated to the biggest goddamn weapon tree, development tree that I have ever seen in a video game, let alone my goddamn life. Because it goes on for pages. Like, it just goes down so far. Yeah. But it's so satisfying to pick away at it over time, because you do get that sense of like actual progression of being like, oh, this weapon is definitely better than what came before.
Yeah. You feel like you're making progress no matter what.
Yeah. Anyway, Mr. Piggles rides again.
Here we come to ruin your day.
My dad Satan says hi.
It's just a complete wall of bullets. I love it.
Rare G-Mech detected!
Shred them!
Yeah, that's something that could show up in a lot of in these levels, is like those flying like golden drones, is that they pass through the level and you have to shoot them down before they leave the area, and they will always drop parts.
See, now with this, I'm picturing just like outfitting a mech with maybe, I don't know, 15 shotguns and just firing a solid wall.
Yes! Yes! Just make a G-Mech that has like a giant shield in front of it, and embedded in each hexagon of the shield is a shotgun.
Yes! Oh god. See, this is what's great about this game is you can do stuff like that. Like, think of a completely batshit insane idea that no other game would let you do, and it's like, give it a shot, see what happens.
Yes.
Oh, it works remarkably well. Fucking A.
This game is flexible in allowing you to create the mecha of your dreams and some of your nightmares.
I mean, if Mr. Pickles, he was already pretty scary to begin with, and he has digivolved into a nightmare.
I mean, the model and texture work on him in Devil's Third was already a nightmare in how horrid it was.
But seriously, this is like if Mr. Pickles was in Digimon, and the final the final level is always like Bondage Angel or Cyborg of some description.
Mr. Pickles is a Zord, as a Zoid.
Yeah, just so beautiful. I do not have the words, and he's completely demolished every building in the area. Which,
you also got a photo mode.
Oh, someone screen cap that and send it to me, and it will be my background.
I think definitely after this, I'm going to get the ideal screen caps, kind of playing on my off time, and just send each one to every of you and all the rest of the co-commentators for sure.
Fan, I promise I will make that my background.
Yeah. The funny thing though, when it comes to the camera mode of this game, is that you playing this on Steam, you obviously already have the built-in screenshot tool with F12 that is part of the of Steam itself. But the camera mode, it lets you take a picture, but you can't view the picture in-game. It instead saves it to the same folder where your save data is, and because of how modern PC games are designed, they're always in the app data folder that is deliberately hidden from file explorers.
Yeah, a lot of games will put your save data in your documents, but the problem is a lot of games don't do that, so it's kind of like a crapshoot as to where it's been saved. But
yeah,
that still seems kind of, why would you do that?
Yes, why would you make a mech like that?
Oh my god, that looks like something straight out of Zone of the Enders.
Yeah. The Einherjar, I believe, if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Einherjar, yeah.
Okay, yeah. They're the heralders of the apocalypse in this case, because... Oh yeah, I never actually did explain what the story and background for this game is, setting-wise. But I guess before that, there is there's one last type of... oh yeah, I completely shook off that big laser because I activated what is the third pickup you get, and those are power-ups. By pressing Y, you get one of 5 different effects. The one that I've been using is called No Damage. This one is known as Unlimited, which gives you unlimited ammo. And unfortunately, one of my Gatling guns was destroyed in the process. Whoops.
Oh well, 1 down, 17 to go.
Yeah, it is what it is. But that's okay, I got another Unlimited. Whatever, it's not like I even really need the unlimited power-up this much, because I'm pretty sure my starting ammunition pool is over 50k.
Sorry, fuckers, there's only one apocalypse being started here, and we're doing it.
Yeah. But then there's other power-ups that you can get, like Attack Up, which increases your attack power, Boost Up, which is, it gives you unlimited boost, and then Speed Up, which just increases your default speed by a crazy amount, to the point where you don't even need to use the boost if necessary.
Kind of reminds me of the power-ups from Demon X Machina.
Yeah, for the femto abilities, things like that, yeah. But obviously these are more of like a traditional power-up pickup system, which definitely adds a nice bit of spice to how combat goes.
Yeah. Looks like a mix of those sci-fi clay dolls and Hero Man. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the mechs from Razafon.
Oh, yeah. But, yeah, basically kind of what's going on in the plot of this game is that... Oh, yeah, look at all those parts blow off of it. And it's down. So basically what's been going on... What's been going on in the setting for this game is that the world's leading scientists and meteorologists discover that there is a comet that is on its way through our solar system, and The problem is that its trajectory is that while it won't hit the Earth, it is going to be very, very close to the Earth when it passes by, that there is significant danger of a near impact that could have all kinds of other ecological ramifications on the Earth itself. So, in preparation for that, all of the world's leaders decide to create underground shelters around the world for people to migrate to so that they can wait out until the comet passes through. And in the meanwhile, all these cities are meant to be preserved and kept in working orders by autonomous G-mechs. Problem is, at some point, those G-mechs start to go rampant, and your private security company, 47, 47 Security Service, they get called in to mop up like what seems to be isolated incidents before it becomes clear, oh no, this is a wide-scale AI like epidemic. And
kind of sounds like a prequel to Nier. Because something very similar to that happens in the prequel, in the backstory to the game as well.
Yeah, and then things get worse from there, where people start observing the comet more closely because they're like, no one on Earth uploaded a virus into these AI units that made them go berserk. So, like, it must be some sort of natural electromagnetic phenomenon that's causing problems. And because of that, people start paying attention to the comet's trajectory more until they realize, oh fuck, it's actually going to hit the Earth.
Oh boy.
So then everyone decides to put together an operation called Operation Shooting Star, where the goal is to just Armageddon that shit and fuck it up with a bunch of missiles aimed at it so that it can hopefully break the meteor apart, and so that it'll like break into chunks and burn up in the atmosphere. Problem is, that makes it worse because that's where the Einherjar, or however you pronounce it, I forget, come into play. Because they actually end up falling to Earth from the comet known as Asgard's core, and then and that's what we basically went through. This was like the halfway point of the campaign where that becomes evident, and so the AI problem does not go away. In fact, there is now an additional problem where because of this threat, our private security company gets drafted into the National Guard, so we're now a military unit. And then throughout most of these missions, you'll see it in the skyboxes, you see the blown open core of the comet, Asgard's core, just hanging in the sky. And it's slowly getting closer and closer to the Earth itself.
Nice.
And it gets to a point where, you know, you fight another one of those things, and then in the final quarter of the game, there comes an additional problem where the colonel that was in charge of Operation Shooting Star goes rogue and takes like a private corps assigned to him of unmanned G-mechs and sides with the rogue G-mechs and decides to bring about the end of humanity.
Just like, fuck it, I'm done.
Yeah, it's a very EDF type plot where it obviously starts out like, you know, even if it's a very bad situation to start, they make sure that it gets 5 degrees of worse at each step before it like resolves itself.
Yep, there's giant ants. Oh, now there's giant spiders. Oh, now there's a bajillion flying saucers in the sky. Now there's fucking kaiju.
Yes. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it progresses into being such a mess. And all the while you are like made acquaintances to like multiple characters. See, there's Asgard's core right there. Yeah, just wait. What
I think the stream might have gone. Yep.
Oh, god damn it! Okay, are we back? I think we're back.
Yes, we are back.
Okay, good. Take a good look at Asgard's core. Unless it's playing ads for you, I'm not sure.
Nope, it's working for me, and it looks like a demonic Terebozu.
Yeah. Actually,
holy shit, that's a lot of lasers.
Yeah. Although I need to quickly restart that because it's like I lost one of my parts way too early because I was trying to focus on showing what was in the skybox. Yeah. But yeah, we're definitely gonna like try and like. Yeah. Look at all those.
Oh. That is the worst version of Laser Floyd to get caught up in.
Yeah, and so many lasers. And then, of course, you can't forget breast fire. That's my critical weapon. Oh, yeah, but as I was getting to as well, throughout this whole journey, there are some, very important characters that are with us through the entire journey. We are, like, the rookie of the new employee of, like, 4-7 Security Services, and our wingman for most of it is a part-time employee who ends up being, like, our leader, and constantly refers to you as newbie, but at least until the halfway point when you show how good you are, that he, like, promotes you to greenhorn.
You've been upgraded from pond scum to dog shit.
And yet he is still worse at his job than you are. He keeps getting bailed out way more often.
Kind of reminds me a bit of Die Guard in that respect. Like the main characters get no respect, and they have to like fill out their overtime sheets the entire time, and everyone looks down on them.
Oh yeah. But yeah, then there's the other characters. There's the president of the company, who was formerly an AI researcher, actually, but decided that, is like to strike out with a private venture and is considerably greedy. She cares about the bottom line of making sure that everyone gets paid.
Yeah, someone was a really big fan of 90s, late 90s, early 2000s Mecha anime, and it shows.
Yeah. There's that. There's the head of engineering, who's like the big gruff dude who is like always eager for you to get a hold of like random G-Mech parts so that you can like customize and like graft them to your own. There's the manager who's kind of like your operator on missions, like that gives you like important mission updates and whatnot. Who's like kind of like the, like if she had like a character model, she would be like the very young, cute girl character archetype.
Yeah, sort of the Bridge Bunny almost.
Yeah, who's and all of these characters also have like their own like notable like voice actors. Like the manager, or Manny as she is given her nickname, is like her voice actor like goes by Lynn, Lynn. Like they made a big deal in the trailers about how like these characters, like they got like so many like prolific voice actors in like the anime and games industries in Japan.
Yeah.
And
the English version would be like half of them are Jameson Price.
Yeah, but then there's another important character. You might have been hearing his voice throughout this, but like we have an onboard AI unit of our own that is not connected to the rogue AI units, called it's spelled out ABCD.
Yeah, I noticed that.
But it's pronounced Abishidi, obviously, because it's Japanese phonetics. And what we are using is not the default voice. With the Ultimate Edition that I pre-ordered, this game comes with like 4 additional voices that you could swap it out with that are referred to as different like forms of AI, like enthusiastic AI, berserker AI, cheerful AI, something like that. In my case, I'm using the enthusiastic AI because it is the voice of the one, the only, the king of braves himself, Nobuyuki Hiyama.
Gai Shishio?
Yep, the very same. And it's like, I have not listened to any of the other AI voices, and at this point, yeah, why the fuck would I ever switch to those for any point in time? And I like the idea that this AI helper, who everyone on 4-7 Security Services appreciates enough to like address it by like a female pronoun, and it has this obviously masculine voice, and I'm like, this is beautiful.
Just out of interest as well. Difficult to tell, but it looks like you're blowing off the armor plating on some of the enemy mechs.
Yes. Yeah.
Cool. Wasn't
like,
just me.
That's definitely a thing that you end up leaning into more when you're really focusing on playing the higher difficulties of this game, is that because the health pools are so high, but this game has like a part dismemberment system, you think about the enemies less in the sense of, oh, I need to drain their base health all the way to 0. It's like, no, focus on the parts of the G-Mech that are the most dangerous and disarm them. That way you can take care
of the Chibi Center.
Exactly. That is the best way to go about it. That said, though, these things are pretty durable because I am playing this mission on very hard. Not Nightmare, though. Very hard and Nightmare are like they're two difficulties that you only unlock once you go into the post game. And I would say that they're both like playing and grinding through like on in equal measure because in very hard it's best to play those if you are like if you're trying to get like small size parts of a high rarity, whereas playing on Nightmare will almost exclusively get you medium and large parts of high rarity.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and we can get out of our G-Mech as well. This almost, doesn't this remind you of something?
This is literally EDF now.
Yeah, we can only take 3 hits though.
Okay, slightly different then.
Yeah. Now we got the Endless Dark.
Going from pew pew lasers to OMG crit rockets.
All the DACA. Yeah. Oh, hey, Null Vortex. Glad to see you drop by for the finale. And yeah, that is true. AC5 and Verdict Day also had a similar system of being able to swap out the voice of like your AC's computer. Yeah, which like the default was like you could have it change basically between either speaking in English or Japanese, and there were even some DLC that had it be the voices of other characters from those games. And also customization and combat system reminds me of Chrome Hounds, but arcadey and simple. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'm remembering now because I know about like I never played Chrome Hounds, but I remember seeing like videos and like details about like how the customization worked in that, and it was also like a kind of similar modular approach it had, that it was not like set to the very rigid core ideas that Armored Core has. Where you could arrange parts in a manner of very creative configurations to suit your need.
Yeah.
Also, that purple laser beam is like a random rare attack that any unit can have on the higher difficulties.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, it's real. It's real intense. That's it, though. Man, these are... Like, even as fun as it is to use these units, I am reminded that, like, stuff like the Endless Dark and Y2K, I do find I still have more fun with when I use them on hard instead of very hard. I think there's just parts of it where, because of the lower mobility and the fact that some of the parts are not fully strengthened as high as I want them to, that they are kind of weak in some areas that the Arc Omega I still find is better suited for it.
Yeah, it kind of strikes me once you get to a certain point in the game, if your mobility isn't above like a certain threshold, you're just gonna have to face tank every hit.
Yeah, something like that. I mean that's ultimately the thing you have to commit to when it comes to like any G-Mech that's larger than small size. And fact, still at this point, I will admit I have still not built a what counts as like a large class G-Mech until at all to see how that feels. I imagine to be even slower than this, but you would probably feel really invincible on a lot of the difficulties if you did.
Yeah, I'm kind of picturing it being like the transformed Macross.
Yes.
Where essentially you've just got like a bajillion guns and you move at like 2 miles an hour, but you can wipe out anything you can remotely see.
Can you shoot your fists? No, there are no rocket punches in this game, sadly.
That seems like an oversight, right?
Maybe? I don't know. I imagine it was probably something that'd be difficult for them to figure out because this game doesn't like to do any like fancy animations when it comes to the arms. Like you see, even with the melee options, like when you have like handheld weapons, like they're always going to be swinging in the exact same way, and they never really like try and make them like use the arms to do anything in a more like human-like motion or creative.
Yeah, it looked like the sword swipes were just really more like wiggle swords in front of you.
Yeah. So, we played a few missions. Showing off like most of like what this game obviously has. We'll bump things back down to hard so it's more manageable, because I am going to do like for the final mission, everyone's gonna get their time to shine.
Round robin, my favorite.
Yeah, because we can get out of our G-Mech and swap them out at any time. There's also the matter of I didn't really show it because it's not as useful as I'd like, but it's nice as an option that I could see being very useful for people that are starting out. But when you're on foot, the idea is that like your default weapon is a bazooka that has infinite ammo. It reloads after 4 shots, but it's not your only weapon. You have like what's called a CEMP bazooka as an alternate that has a limited amount of shots, but the idea is that you fire it at a G-Mech, and it's a Pokeball mechanic, basically. It allows you to capture them, and you get a chance of randomly obtaining a part from them that I assume you possibly would not have gotten otherwise if you just defeated them normally. But
so let me get this straight. You can kidnap and strip mine enemy mechs.
Yes.
Awesome.
My only wish is that it was better explained or like elaborated so that it would be viable on like the larger class of G-Mechs, because it's very easy to do it if you're just focusing on the small size ones, which is valid if you're doing this game starting out, because I'm pretty sure it's clear the way they want you to play this game is that you are not expected to be able to build a medium or large class G-Mech until the post game. It's kind of designed around the idea of having you use a small size G-Mech, because that's basically what's considered like the normal. Like the game at Mission 10, I believe it is, introduces enemy G-Mechs that are medium class, and it's the point where people have a freak out because they're like, what the fuck? Only G-Mechs designed for construction are supposed to be that big. Why does it have guns?
Who put a sword the size of a battleship in the damn thing?
Yeah, it's fucking insane. But yeah, it's just like, if it was possible for it to be still have some validity to like and like usefulness on like the higher difficulties and bigger G-Mechs, then like I'd be using it a lot more. But otherwise, I don't. I just only get out of the G-Mech if I'm needing to swap to another. And now we're at the finale, in which like Asgard's core has continued to get closer to Earth. The rogue G-Mech problem has become like even more of a problem, especially with the Colonel aiding them, feeding them combat data to the point where he has essentially achieved the singularity, in which AI now has all the data they need to be able to progress without the need for human input anymore.
Well, I see no way that can result in a Skynet-style situation.
Yeah, so we are literally like on the cusp of the final apocalypse. As the United Nations are trying yet again to blow open Asgard's core, not with missiles, but with both missiles and like a defense system designed to like shield the missiles themselves, so that the rogue AI do not shoot them down. That's actually what the missions prior to this were like focused on, and one of those. All 3 of those are defense missions, and one of those defense missions, I'm going to be honest, kind of like put a damper on my momentum I was having with this game, because it is so hard on one of those to actually complete it without while keeping the base you're supposed to defend intact, because it's one of those things where the base that you have to defend is in the dead center of the map, and everyone's coming from every angle.
It is so difficult to do any kind of defense or hold the line kind of mission and not make it feel like a chore. Yeah. I can think of the number of times I've played any kind of game with that setup of a mission, that it's actually worked and been fun. I can count that on one hand.
And even then, like, the other defense missions in this game don't have that problem. They actually do the smarter thing in a lot of them, where the defense point is on one end of the map and all the enemies are coming in from the other. So you at least have a better chance of forming a defensive line that's consistent.
Yeah. No, for some reason, it's just a really hard thing to do and make it be fun.
Yes, definitely.
And but so many games fail.
It's fortunately a rare thing when it does come up in this game, at least. Like, it is focused on, however repetitive it might seem, looking at this game in action, but I mean, whatever. If you like EDF, there's no reason why you wouldn't like this game, because it's operating on the same idea of it is a simple but like primal, enjoyable core game loop that, yeah, if you love it, there's no reason why you wouldn't like keep playing it. Maybe take some breaks in between. That could probably help.
Well, I mean, with the EDF series, as I said, I love it to bits, but each game has like 80 missions that are all maybe like 15 minutes in length. So it's not a game you can really play for like an entire afternoon. You go in, you play like 5-6 levels, play it for an hour or two, and then you put it away and you come back to it later because it's so easy to pick up from as well.
Exactly. Like, and this fulfills that same role. Even with all the customization options, playing it is as simple as can be. Maybe too simple. Like, as far as gameplay systems for mecha games, I could probably see a version of this that manages to feel a lot closer in kinesthetics to classic Armored Core and some of the nuance that game has, especially with its boost system. But I mean, like, I guess to draw a comparison to something else that's recent, there was actually a indie-developed mecha game earlier this year called Gearbits that released on Steam. That I played some of it, and as someone that's generally very negative on a lot of like indie attempts at mecha games because they kind of like miss core ideas, or they just don't have the they don't have the level of reference points with the genre that I think is necessary to understand how to make it work. Like, the person that made it actually does understand it, but it does have, like, some rough jank to it all the same. And I would say its gameplay, how it feels to control, like, your mecha in that is comparable to this. But that also means I would like to play this game a lot more, because this has the benefit of the Omega customization system. Which is, which is the sort of thing where fucking, like, it has been so long since I have, like, found actual joy in a customization system for a mecha game, like not since 3rd gen Armored Core. Because at least in 3rd gen, how it felt when you went through it was that it was like, because of the difficulty and expectations of the missions you were doing, it was like solving a puzzle. You know, there was a lot of nuance to the parts you could equip, and it was about figuring out like what is the right balance of parts and strengths and weaknesses so that you can actually get through it. Nope. Get away from there. Get away from there.
It's like that meme. I like this, but I love this.
Yes. So, and because of that, and like, I guess even to quickly go back to Armored Core 6 again and how much I'm not that fond of it, like even the customization is so back to basics and doesn't really have anything else that interesting to it when it comes to the physical parts, because it's all the same standard, you know, core, head, legs, arms, generator, FCS, and boosters. You know, like the same part categories since the PS1 Armored Core games. And I'm like, there's still so much more you could do for the 15th entry in this series. That this game stands out in the sense that it's like, okay, how do you want to customize your robot? If you set an idea, 9 times out of 10, you could totally make good on it.
I can imagine with Armored Core, because, you know, to be fair, it does have a reputation of being the most granular. I mean, it is known as the Gran Turismo of mech games for a reason.
Yeah.
So I can imagine that, seeing as how they hadn't done an Armored Core in, what, better part of a decade or so, that they wanted to pare it back down to basics in order to, you know, basically give regular people a chance of getting into it and getting invested in it.
Yeah,
which,
again, the issue of game essence versus broad appeal we discussed earlier.
Yeah, it's like, it's not a bad way of doing it, but on the other hand, you have to remember who your audience is.
And the fact that other games that have a customization system are probably following those exact same rules as well.
I mean, it was an industry leader for multiple reasons. You know, it was definitely a game. Armored Core was definitely like, okay, this is the act to follow. And, you know, for whatever reason, they decided, no, we're going to go back to absolute basics, to a point where it's not just back to basics, it feels basic.
Yes. Meanwhile, like as Vortex points out, like this and Chrome Hands their customization is basically like Lego.
And that is, like, honestly, that is a completely perfect way of doing. Like, this is what Armored Core 6 should have been if they wanted to make it more beginner friendly. You know?
Yeah.
Like, think of what you want to do, and then take a look at the parts and see what you can slap together in order to make it work.
Yeah. Anyway, this is the final boss, and for Mecha anything, you can't have a final battle without a theme music power-up. It's time to scream, motherfuckers! Yes, there was a reason I used that particular song in the countdown video. Mr. Pickles is gonna fucking mow you down with all the DACA today.
Hey, who's your favorite Turtles bad guy? Mine is the Shredder!
Abaddon, it's your turn. Give him hell, Neff. Oh, good. They dropped away from the enemy so that I have time to get in.
I have to say, it is a very cool touch that they still fire at your departing mech.
Yes.
Like, gives you enough time to run away before you get to the next landing position.
Definitely. Oh, yeah, it's so good. God bless Psychic Lover. Like this song is so good. Like, this is the sort of thing where, for all its low budgetness, I could at least like be totally accepting of the fact that this game decided to spend most of its budget on the marketing and getting big name voice actors and music acts to contribute to this game, because that feels like that's the best like love that they could give to show that they understand the spirit of Mecha.
Well, that's the thing. Like, as we said, like, yes, the animations from like the waist up are practically non-existent, but you don't really need that when everything else is so engaging. Like, from where I'm sitting, the only way this could get any better would be if it allowed you to provide a custom soundtrack.
Yes.
Like,
yeah,
that feels
but
like
least,
the last missing piece.
Yeah, but at least it's no surprise that I marked out when the rock duo that made the opening themes for Samurai Sentai Shinkenger and the Japanese opening for Transformers Armada decided to have their theme song rock out for the finale.
I mean, if you're not doing like an orchestral version of the main theme, then you've got to have balls to the wall butt metal.
Yeah. And now I've been holding off on being able to show off my main all this time. It's only fair that I deal the final blow.
Send him back home.
Don't even think this looks all that low budget, to be honest. I mean, like, the fact that, like, it's low budget, obviously, relative to, like, games now. I mean, like, if you're thinking about it from the perspective of, like, what D3 used to put out, then, yeah, it definitely would be, like, of a higher grade of quality than they ever did. But it's still, you know, like, they have limitations and they knew what they want.
Yeah, when we say low budget, I mean, we are saying, like, compared to other games that are coming out now. Like, this looks, if this had been released on the PS4, early PS4, we'd be like, this looks really good.
Yeah.
But, you know, you have to remember that things have come on in the last, 8 years since then?
Yeah, like, yeah, Wrath is right. It looks budget, but it's a game that knows how to use its budget.
100%. I've always said I prefer stylized games to games that put all their effort into graphical quality, because one will age like milk and the other will age like a fine wine. And this definitely, you know, they know what they want to do, and that's something that you can't say a lot of games these days really understand.
Definitely. Yeah, this is a gem. And there's even like one last surprise that shows that these people get it, like once we get to the credits as well. But this is just kind of going over, like, you know, we defeated the Colonel. We've like curbed like the AI's plan to basically like fully surpass humanity. Asgard's core is destroyed, so now like any G-mechs out there that are rogue are now just stragglers instead of it being just like a huge fucking problem.
Yep.
But yeah, and all that was because thanks like the thing that saved us from like the threat of AI trying to destroy humanity was an AI unit of our own who basically hacked into the kernel systems and made sure that basically convert like enough energy to like the command center that would be able to like do the final push necessary to destroy Asgard's core for good.
The only thing that can stop a bad guy with an AI is a good guy with an AI.
Yes. Thank you, Guy Shisho. like, again, that's all the more reason why I'm like, I am never changing that AI voice anytime I play this game.
See you later, Space Mech Boy.
Yeah. Yeah, and see, look at that. Even then, like, even going back to, like, lower difficulties like hard, I'm still getting new parts on occasion whenever I pick them up.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, all sorts of good shit. That's even, like, a higher rarity of, like, the Halo ring, which I have equipped on the Y2K. I should probably swap that out soon, you know? Like, higher rarity means better stats and whatnot. Yeah, and admittedly, this is like kind of like a very, very slow text crawl for some reason, but it's basically confirming that, yeah, the Colonel's unit is destroyed, the Gladstein missiles fired at Asgard's core managed to hit it, and take it out for good.
The internal shell of the core began.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe could have done a second pass over the text there.
Again, budget.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, I mean, like, I already gave like the core summary of like of what went on, so we'll just go straight to the credits. And you see, like they understood to give like top billing credits to like all the voice actors they got for this. What's that? You hear that voice? It's the voice of It's the voice of an angel. Neki Basara himself. Yes, this is Yoshiki Fukuyama's like separate band outside of Jam Project called Hummingbird. They're doing the ending theme. And I swear to God, this sounds like one of the more low-key Firebomber songs. Like kind of like the more like emotional ballads that you would occasionally hear in Macross 7. Hey, are going to miss Ark's soothing voice being a regular thing. Yeah, but, I mean, you already saw the stream crash twice, like, this session. It kind of had to hit the breaking points sooner or later. But honestly, a break like that is going to be a good way for me to reevaluate my whole stream setup to maybe switch over to something that'll be more stable. I'm almost thinking I might change things over so that it's my laptop that does the recording and streaming, because at least during the time that I had that I was streaming from there before I got my desktop PC, you know, there was still some scuff here and there, but it was like way more stable on the whole compared to the times I've had to use OBS on my desktop for whatever reason. I guess it's the difference between having to buy a laptop that's already made versus building a desktop from scratch where all kinds of variables can fuck things up.
I mean, yes, you know, everyone says, like, you can put together, like, why are you buying a pre-made machine when you can get, you know, several hundred off if you buy this, and from these obscure websites, and it's like, I mean, okay, but at the end of the day, I want a machine that works.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's, you gotta take some risks, obviously.
Yeah.
Like, it's...
Like, I got a pre-built PC, it works fine, I mean, it's starting to show its age now. But yeah, I knew that when I got it, if anything went wrong, I could blame someone else.
Yeah, but it's like, I don't know, the way I see it, it's like kind of the truth that I feel for most people that really just want leisure a lot of the time kind of have to accept is like you can't really get to like truly good stuff in life without having to work for it.
Yeah, there is definitely, for a lot of things, there is definitely a case of you get what you pay for.
Yeah, and sometimes you gotta learn to just buck up and like try and like put together a fix yourself.
Yep.
Oh, look at this, a nice speech from manager about our our security service company and how it's like now that horrible event is over, you know, like the rogue G-Mechs have been whittled down tremendously, but there's still work to be done. We're recruiting.
Enter the post game.
Yeah, which I'm pretty sure the post game in this case is when you go to the side story tab, which this is part of like one of the higher tier editions you can buy, which includes the missions where you fight against rogue G-Mechs that use parts from the EDF series.
Oh, cool.
These are the missions you play if you want to get the parts in order to build your own Nyx or Balam or Barga or ECM tank.
Yeah.
You can even get
pre-order
decals.
bonuses. The pre-order bonuses you can get in game then, or at least EDF ones.
Well, yeah, because it's a separate DLC that you can buy as part of that. Like the only thing I'm pretty sure was like a pre-order bonus was the robot girl head, the one that I used
that
for
would make sense.
the one that has a very creepy look to it if you look at it by default.
Just dead eyes, like a doll's eyes.
Yes, that's very much what it's meant for.
Oh, right, okay.
And you can see the metal bits kind of like forming as lines beneath the skin or whatever that lets you know that this is mechanical. But okay, whatever. Yeah. I made it work in a way that was actually kind of cool looking on the Y2K.
No, as I said, honestly, this is like some of the most impressive customization I've seen in any game.
Yeah.
And like, as I said, like they knew where their strengths were and they played them to the hilt.
Yeah.
And there are very few games, full stop, that I can think of that actually do anything like that these days.
Yeah. And I mean, and as you can see here, I talked about this. This is the research department where you can build entire units as long as you have the parts in your inventory. All right, got us go. Fun stream. Enjoyed all the mech enthusiasm over the year. Salute to Ark. Thank you, Rad. Thank you so much. Yes, it was great to have you drop by again. And yeah, for you, Kaboom, the compliment from him for being the perfect co-host for me.
I did my best.
Yeah, it's always been fun when we get together like this. But yeah, as you can see, this is where like, if you can even like switch over the menus to kind of see like what all parts kind of go into these. So like this is the Nyx. There's weird stuff like the Nyx combat wagon, which is just a flatbed truck with like a Nyx grafted to the bed.
Yeah, that showed up in the trailers, and the first time I saw that, I was like, "What the living shit are we doing here?"
Yeah. Then there's the EMC tank. Yeah. And then there's the Barga itself, which again can be in all these different sizes, small, medium, and large. That's how big large is. And of course, we can't forget the Balam, debuting in EDF 4.1. The reason I played EDF 4.1 when it came out.
See, I played it just because, like, the thing with EDF 4.1, I think it was the last one to have English voiceover, and it is so earnest, and like everyone plays it straight, and that is so good because it really helps sell the whole feeling of it.
Mm-hmm.
I just love it to bits.
And this is where you create your parts. You've probably been obviously seeing with the mission results screen that I had also been receiving gold and other materials. Those 5 materials are how you craft these parts that you have picked up in all of the 5 different rarities. So this is the nice thing. You can pick up a part that is of like a specific size class, and it will be added to the create parts list. And regardless of the rarity of that first parts you picked up in the field, you can at least go and like craft it of each of the 5 rarities if you so choose.
So do you need to make your way down the list, or can you just go, right, I've got the 1-star, I want to make the 5-star right off the bat?
Yes, you could go straight to 5-star if you have the materials.
That's good.
Yeah, but do know that when it comes to medium size, 1 to 2-star rarity is not available, and large you only have 4 and 5-star rarity available because again they're post game stuff, and by that point every part that you're picking up is like 3 stars at the minimum.
Yeah, and you'll have the resources to do that kind of stuff anyway.
Yeah, so I could definitely, if I wanted to, I could definitely sit down at this point, look at the builds I currently have, which parts are lacking in terms of like their rarity level, and replace them with like a 5 or 4-star variant. There's still, there's still more I could do, but obviously with how much I've played of this game in the past 2 weeks just to be ready for today, it's like, I could definitely use the break. I got other mecha-related things to work on. Because I've even just, from Christmas, ended up getting finally got what I've been pining for the entire year, the high-grade YF-19 Excalibur model kit from Macross Plus. Yeah, I'm back in it, baby. I'm back into the model kit building game.
Yeah, from just like various things that people have mentioned to me, and the fact that like the other day I actually went back to my mohawk and bleached the shit out of my hair for the first time in 14 years. Everyone seems to be going into 2024 fully back on their bullshit.
It's like if we
I appreciate that.
It's like we finally recovered from like the past 3 years or some shit.
It's like, okay, now we've got that shit over and done with. Let's get back to what we were good at.
Let's get back to living our life, god damn it.
Yes.
Yeah. But that was that game. I am looking forward to being able to show the results of this to the people in the one Discord I keep alluding to. The assholes that kept like hounding me to admit Armored Core 6 is real and see how they take this. but I mean, I think we agree because we talked about this plenty in the lead up to this. I think it was clear that this game, more than anything, was just the most appropriate option that we could have gone with to close out the program.
I mean, yes, you could have done Armored Core 6, and it would have been... I think it would have probably made you miserable because you weren't doing what you wanted to do. You were doing something that you felt obligated to do.
Yeah.
And as someone who's done those kind of projects in the past, like you have to walk a fine line between doing what you want and doing what you know will appeal to others.
Yeah, but... Like, there were only 2 games on the list for this year where I could say, like, the reason I put them on there was entirely out of obligation. But I felt the obligation was still justified because there was interesting historical context to talk about with those. Those were Virtual On Force, because it fucked up what made Virtual On good and basically, like, paved the way for Gundam Versus to eat its lunch. And then the second was Zone of the Enders 2, because, it's got a lot of fans of that game, obviously, and it does some really neat things. But I have played so many other fast-paced mecha games since then that have, like, evolved from what that game did and did it better on, like, the game-playing front. But I felt it was still necessary to highlight, this is a popular favorite. There are parts about it I like. But much in the same way about how I talk about Evangelion whenever that comes up, it's a matter of I wish I liked it more.
Yeah, it's it's one of those things of like it's less an obligation, more of a signpost. Like this is what led to pretty much everything else that came after it. Like with Evangelion, like you can't really do any kind of concise history of mech anime or even anime in general throughout the 90s and the 2000s without touching on shows like that. It would be like saying, you can't do a history of 80s anime without including stuff like Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
Like,
and the inverse is
them,
true as well. The inverse is true in the sense that you also can't just simply like settle on like on just watching something like Evangelion and thinking that automatically like gives you everything you need to know about what came before.
Yeah, you've seen one aspect of the whole. And thinking that's the whole is, it's a rookie mistake.
Yeah. Which was the whole, which I guess is the perfect segue into, I guess, like the final point to talk about as we slowly wrap this up. And that is like, what was the point of this journey? What did we learn? To marry our cousins. Wait. Why would you want to marry your mecha?
Well, I learned to think with my heart and feel with my knees as we grope through the endless nightmare that is humanity. It's about subverting expectations. It's about losing faith and finding what it is to find that faith. And now I'm just wholesale quoting Red Letter Media, so I'll leave it to you.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, I know I heard that from somewhere.
That's right, Jay.
Yeah. It's a shame I can't do the Rich Evans laugh, but whatever. I don't think anyone could. Yeah, that's a pretty good approximation.
It's the sound of 1,000 angels shitting themselves in joy.
Oh yeah, Vortex asked, like, does Custom Mech Wars have online multiplayer? Yes, it does. It's co-op. I don't think there's like a PvP to it, so like it's just like playing the single player missions, but in co-op. I haven't done that because I don't have friends. I mean on Steam. On Steam that want to play this game. I mean, damn it, whatever. I mean, I have friends.
I barely have a PC that works, so don't look at me.
Oh yeah. Well, whatever. I mean, like, I was technically playing this off of my laptop that I had hooked up to my capture card, and that thing is old. That is like a 1060 Ti or something in there, and like a laptop class of like a Core i7, which means it's like, even though it's an i7, it has a lower clock speed than desktop CPUs, and it was holding up just fine. So really, I think don't discount too early this game's ability to like run on your platform. It's just something to consider. But no, I guess like the whole point of this journey was like, obviously like the main one had to do with how I had structured the games on this list in the order I showed them, which is all about conveying context, because it is very easy to just cherry pick games that you like and not really think about the greater whole of the genre. And that also extends further to the second point, where it is also that mecha as a genre is a very fluid concept that can exist as many different things, and that extends as well to video games. You have seen the 50 plus games I have played on this channel. They are not all the same type. Not all mecha games are created equal, and even with like all the wildly different gameplay systems, I still like chose them on the fact that I looked at them, saw what they had to offer, and just felt with my gut whether or not it was mecha. Because at some point, like, you can give as much of a scientific or analytical like explanation of like what is or isn't mecha, but sometimes the only way to really know is to just engage with it, build up that knowledge, and then learn to feel it out with your gut. Because this isn't just a genre that exists solely in the realm of video games. It exists in all other media, primarily anime. Considering I could even go as far as to say that mecha is anime. It is the genre that is most responsible for securing the medium's future back in the 70s and ensuring that it has grown and evolved into the nightmare that we know it for today.
I mean, there is a case to be made that if it weren't for obviously Gundam, but also Doraemon, that, you know, the anime as we know it would be completely unrecognizable.
And just anything by Go Nagai, really. Like that.
Oh,
that
yeah,
was
Mazinger as well.
Mazinger was very much the tipping point. It was the thing that set off the mecha boom of the 70s. And the people that were growing up at the time watching that were clearly at the age that once they were older, getting into the 80s and even 90s, they were at the perfect opportunity to either make their dream anime in honor of those, like how Gainax started, being anime fans themselves, or how we had game developers in the 90s finally figuring out, okay, this is how we can make our dreams of piloting a mecha from our favorite anime work as a game. Like, yeah, all links back to, like, several decades past, and it gets back to how I'd always mention, where it's like, you can't just settle on one or two things that are your favorite and assume that you know everything that the genre is capable of or has explored. Because chances are, if you've thought of something that, like, wouldn't it be cool if a mecha anime or story or something did this, chances are they probably have already like thought of it at some point.
Yeah, I remember years ago thinking, like, mentioning to someone, like, how cool would like a 1 part mech show, 1 part HP Lovecraft, how cool would that be? And then someone went, have you heard of this show called Demon Bane? And I was like, obviously not.
Yeah, that's true.
And I was like, holy shit, why did no one tell me about this before?
Yeah. Or even like, and even then, like, I'm still, for as much anime I've watched and games I have played, there are still moments, like, even up through this very year, where I have been discovering things where it was like, holy shit, this was something I've been wanting to see, or didn't even realize I wanted to see. Like Steambot Chronicles showing what might be like the most well-realized interpretation of Mecha as a civilian vehicle. You know? Like it is a tool that is being used for many fields and expertises, not just for military purposes. You know?
Yeah.
You go to the early part of the game and pass by a farm, and there is literally a Tropmobile that is watering the crops.
The one thing there was a really big problem, I think, in the 90s and 2000s, was to focus on the machines rather than the characters, which I almost feel was like almost like a response to Evangelion. Like either they went super dark, super upbeat, like Gao Gaigar, for example, or they decided, you know, okay, we're gonna like completely ignore one aspect of it to the exclusion of all others, or we're going to focus on one aspect of the other to the exclusion of all others. And it's like,
I think the bigger problem, I think just to say that like what it actually is, because I think the important thing to remember is that the mecha themselves are characters unto themselves. So like I don't even think that's really like an issue themselves, because that leads into like the fallacy argument that people who don't watch mecha anime always say about it, where like they're talk about Evangelion and be like, oh, unlike those other mecha shows, this one's about the characters. Yeah, about the characters, just like it has been since Tetsujin 28, huh, motherfucker?
Or I don't like shows that are all about giant robots. It's like, well, great. Here's 5 shows that are more focused on the characters, and the robots are essentially no different to the characters jumping in a tank.
Yeah. But it's like...
That's also a thing.
Yeah. But it's really just the sort of thing where it is like, you know, as like that genre has persisted and like gone through the decades, but like there have always been like other like tastes and like stylistic things that like anime and other stories have like tried to pursue. Because like I could even like talk about how like there's some like early 2000s mecha shows I like, but that's still with the caveat that they were kind of steeped in that like 2000s fan service kind of mentality. A lot of jiggle physics. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah. That again. That I think that was, with that respect, I feel like that was the late 90s, early 2000s entering their edgy teen period. You saw that a lot right the way across, where fan service was king, because any show that included an overabundance of jiggle seemed to like get all the attention online.
Neff immediately thought of Godana, and that's exactly what I was thinking as well.
Exactly.
Like, that and Gravion, both.
Yep. Same way, you know, the cute girls doing cute things genre really took off in the 2000s as well, and now it's practically dead.
Yeah, like we're now in like just the era of isekai trash, and just fucking tainting that entire concept, which is really funny because I've started watching Visions of Escaflowne, and that is like, this is what isekai anime should be. Damn it.
Yeah, like Escaflowne and Konosuba, and there's another one that I'm forgetting, but there's like 3 or 4 isekai shows that I actually rate, and they all do something interesting.
Yeah, and even then, that's getting into that, where it's like, Mecha is an eternal franchise because it is just that adaptable to any sort of like settings or like combining with other genres. You know, I mean, like you could probably have made like in the 2000s like a cute girls doing cute things show that is just all about them like just nerding over giant robots.
I mean, there was Girls in Panzer, which wasn't too far removed from that.
Yeah, that's true. That's like the tank version of that, obviously, because it's focused on just these girls being really, really into tanks.
Yeah, but yeah, not too far removed. Like you can feasibly do a show where cute girls nerd over military hardware quite easily.
Yeah. So with all these examples that we have cited, both anime, games, and otherwise, you still might be thinking, okay, but like, Is there really like a surefire way to know for sure whether something really is mecha, whether it's part of the story in an anime or whether it functions as a mecha game? That's the neat thing. There isn't. There's no easy way to actually know that, because again, like, you're only going to be able to get to that point by doing the thing that so many lazy assholes on the internet who keep asking these questions just never want to do or commit the time for. Just engage with the genre. Play mecha games. Watch mecha anime. Just like, if it's something of a genre, like, that's the best, most surefire direct way you'll get to like understanding it. Even watching other people play games, like you have for the past 52 weeks, watching me play these games on stream every Saturday or Wednesday, you know, depending on like the co-commentator for that week. It's like you get the sense of like, you know, like what I'm talking about with those, and like what makes it like a fitting entry in the overall genre. And like, I just love everything about it, because I guess, like, for me, all this time, what has made Mecha so special for me, it was something that, funny enough, was reinforced recently when I finished reading Shin Mazinger Zero versus the Great General of Darkness, which I had known about the ending that manga had for years, because, like, it was basically known before scanlators had gotten around to, like, fully translating the entire story. And once I finally got to seeing that ending with the full context leading up to it, it reminded me of, like, why Mecha is so special, and, like, why I go as far as to say is Mecha is anime, and, like, just what are the peak genres of fiction and, like, arts, period, is because it's one of the few genres across mediums I can think of where you can view it almost as, like, a mythos unto itself. It is a pantheon of pop culture, where it's just, like, the identifiable things about that genre, like, pieces of media that stick out in it, you know, they're all centered around, like, these mechanical beings created, you know, by human hands, obviously, kind of in the same way that, like, the gods of old myths are essentially born from the minds of humans. And just seeing them as, like, these great, larger-than-life beings that form a pantheon of pop culture. There's so few other genres I can think that really compete in that same way. Like, I feel like comic book superheroes are kind of like the closest.
Yeah, superheroes I've heard unironically referred to as modern day mythology. And as stupid as a sentence as, you know, that is, because it is incredibly easy just to be like, you're dumb for saying that.
Yeah.
It's not without merit.
Yeah, like, because think about, it's much like how in the mecha genre, most entries in it, like, would have no ability to exist if Mazinger Z wasn't there to lay the groundwork. Think about how many superheroes wouldn't exist if Superman wasn't even conceived in the first place to establish what the idea of a superhero could be.
If it wasn't for a combination of Superman and the Comics Code Authority coming into existence both about the same time, superheroes would be a niche thing. Crime comics, pirate comics, adventure comics in general, those would be way more prevalent than they are today. That's more for when I do my own series of streams on comic books, but like, it's the same thing of, without these one or two key events, pop culture as we know it is completely different.
Yeah, again, it's like anime's future would likely have, like, disappeared in the 70s had Mazinger not come along, because that was like a critical point in Japanese pop culture history, where the audience, like, engagement and enjoyment, like, what people were into watching on their television was less and less actual cartoons, but live action productions. Ultraman came into being in the late 60s, and everyone wanted to watch Ultraman. So the onus laid at the foot of mangakas and anime studios to make something that would give people a reason to think, okay, this is something you can't do with live action.
Yeah, I was talking to someone about it a couple of days ago, but, like, people always forget, just, like, it is. I would make the argument that Go Nagai is one of the most important figures in pop culture, bar none. Like him, Walt 100%. Disney, Siegel and Shuster, who created Superman. Like, if you can basically look at literally anything you like. And if he wasn't a direct inspiration for it, something that was inspired by him, or was inspired by something that was inspired by him.
Exactly.
Like, you take him out, You take him at one figure out of popular culture. Popular culture, both Eastern and Western, is irrevocably changed.
100%. Like, if you love giant robots, it's thanks to Mazinger. If you love horror and dark themed superheroes, you have Devilman. If you like the idea of magical girls, or even like stories about like just really empowered women that have sex appeal, there's Cutie Honey. And if you love post-apocalypse stories, he did Violence Jack, which predates Fist of the North Star.
Yep. His reach is insane, and as I said, I fully maintain he is easily one of the most important figures in pop culture.
100%.
It's crazy how many people don't understand his impact or don't realize how big it is.
And his impact was at the same like period of time as Shotaro Ishinomori, whose contributions like basically set in stone like the modern like the long-running tokusatsu series that we still have to this very day. Kamen Rider Super Sentai would still not be like the traditions of like live action TV in Japan had he not like kind of established those original stories.
Arguably as well, he also set the precedent for essentially same character but remixed with stuff like Kamen Rider. Yes, it's the same characters, but different setting, same fundamental character, but different setting, different protagonists.
Yes.
Like that wasn't really a thing up until then as well, and now he pretty much set the template for Sentai as a whole.
Hasio, Osamu Tezuka did have like his star system for his characters, but I think what Kaboom was referring to was the idea of like a series where like the stories don't have like where like each individual story does not have like linked continuity to each other, where like it's all about
more like
it carries on
like the
themes.
template is set.
Yeah.
Like you've got the basic template and you slot in new characters as opposed to you take the characters and put them in new situations, if that makes sense.
Although Tezuka is still also, an important creator in his own right, considering his work obviously predated Ishinomori and the guys by quite a bit, but it was still important for having that groundwork set so that like the next generation of creators could push it further.
Yeah. Like, and again, he was another individual who, like, pick a genre, and he dabbled in it at least.
Yes.
If not created one of the defining works for that period.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no Astro Boy, no robots in general. Like, someone would have come up with them, but I don't think the impact would have been quite as far-reaching.
Yeah, it's like this reference is just like, we're not reading this off a script or anything. We know this because like it is just that important. There's like anime as a concept that existed before 1995, guys. It's obviously been like a popular thing since the 2000s onward for the rest of the world, but it's important not to diminish the fact that like the country of origin for the stuff had built up a lot of history around it that pretty much everyone around the world has basically been able to enjoy the benefits of that like improvement in storytelling and animation, and even getting back to like the whole point of like the stream series, how that kind of extends to all these other like mediums that have recently that are like still new forms of art, like video games.
Yep.
So with all that said, you might be thinking, with like this amount of reverence for the genre's history, the fact that we know about like so many different entries and stuff, and like the ideas and themes that they have, that you might be thinking, cool, so where's the list? Like, you must have some recommendations, right? Well, this is one thing where I'm unfortunately going to have to let you down on this. I do not have like a fully compiled recommendation list for both games and anime, or just mecha stories in general. I would like to have had that, but the problem is making it as thorough and like comprehensive as I would like to, but to not just put it, because it wouldn't be just a list. It would be a list with like summaries and like pointing like in the direction of like where you can get a hold of them, either through official channels or legally acquiring if necessary.
Getting them from Walmart.
But so it's yeah, like I was hoping I could have like had at least something like that ready. And it initially started as just like a list that kind of broke down like all the games I played on stream this year and be like, okay, this is what you should know going into playing it yourself. These are the platforms it's on. These are the re-releases if there is any. Here's an English translation if available, yada yada. But it was like it's getting to be too much work to kind of make sure it was like comprehensive but like not too long-winded. It's probably like this might sound like a joke, but I would not be surprised if it like takes me like an entire year itself just so I could have like that list ready for you by December 30th, 2024.
And that's why he's working on a book to be released on December 31st, 2024.
Yeah. No, I'm looking to do other things like since then. You know me. I've been talking about this like
Yeah.
like but at least when I say this is like I kind of said earlier in this stream, I said the lines is like you can't really like get something truly good without having to work for it. And in this case, with the power of the internet and search engines, just look for it. Like if you want like the easiest place to start, just look up a Super Robot Wars games lineup. Preferably look at the Alpha and Z series, and then compile those names into a list. Most of them will be good. Some of them won't. Like, do not be fooled by the ones that list Gundam Seed. Do not watch those. It is a lie.
No, Gundam Seed is what's a polite way of saying that it is a shallow, boring, cliche-fueled mess that was obviously written on the fly by people who had ideas above their station.
An abortion?
Yeah, it was an abortion.
But no, so it's like if you look at like the lineups for those games, it's not a shame to drop shows that don't inch it. Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, but I list those specific Super Robot Wars games the most is because looking at those lineups is what got me to dig deep into watching as many mecha anime as I have up to this point. Like there was a time growing up where it was like the only ones I was watching were the ones that like either showed up on Toonami or were ones that like basically when like being able to watch videos like on YouTube and the like became like doable, that people were like, oh hey, watch Evangelion or watch this other thing, and that's kind of what I did. But then it came to a point where I started meeting other people that knew about mecha and was like, oh no, this is a much bigger tapestry of a genre than I was ever led to believe.
Yeah. Like, I know personally, like, mech anime is something I've always had an interest in because, let's be honest, we like giant robots.
You dig giant robots, I dig giant robots, we dig giant robots, chicks dig giant robots.
Nice. But actually, like, I'd never really been able to play any of the Super Robot Wars series, obviously because I don't speak Japanese, don't read it. Mm-hmm. But once the international trilogy came out, like obviously I'd seen more than my fair share of shows before, but that was when I was actually able to go, oh, okay, so these, half dozen shows that show up in every game, now I've actually got a grounding in them. And then they bring in other shows like Cross Ange, which I'd always heard was horrible, trashy, fan service laden, absolutely terrible. And yes, it is incredibly trashy and fan service laden, but there's actually some really good episodes. Like the show itself is much better than I'd been led to believe. Yeah. And I never would have looked into it had it not been for Super Robot Wars. So using that as your gateway into taking a look at the bigger picture, there are much worse ways you can go about it.
Yeah, you could be taking the worst route by only doing what like what normies recommend, which means you're probably just going to be stuck with Evangelion and Code Geass for the rest of your life.
Evangelion, Code Geass, and whatever Gundam happens to be out this year.
And Darling in the Franxx.
I mean, I have a soft spot for it just because it is like so, like the plot twists in it are so ridiculous, and it takes such a 90-degree turn halfway through that I'm like, fuck it, I've come this far.
Yeah.
kind of like with Code Geass. Like after a while, you're just like, well, I'm in for the long haul now. I just want to see how absolutely batshit insane the twists get and how they're going to get out of them this week.
Yeah. Like, but yeah, that's the
Some
basically.
people call that a sunk cost fallacy. I call it mental illness.
Hell, well, it could be both.
I mean, there is, part of me that's like, why are you saying or? Both are equally true.
Yeah. So, like, I hope that jumping off point, like, that direction I have pointed you all in is, like, a good place to go. Like, and just, like, get started on your journey. Obviously, when it comes to the games themselves, as far as, like, which ones to play, I mean, these VODs for the stream are already, like, archived on my YouTube channel. If you ever need a refresher on what any of them look like and what I thought about them, I mean, you could just pull those up. You know, it's not as concise as a simple paragraph about, like, what makes it special or, like, what is the best way to play it. But it's still something, you know? I've still given so much attention to, like, a wide breadth of, like, mecha games that most people don't realize, even going for, like, the really insane deep pulls, because like what other person out there would ever catch on to the fact that Battle Robot Damashi exists?
I think if there's anything to take away from, like, this whole year that you've done, it's get out of your comfort zone.
Yes.
Because, as you say, like, I'm pretty sure you were the only person who'd heard of Battle Robot Damashi before you did it on the stream, because God knows I certainly am.
Yeah, just me and, like, random scatter people posting, like, on a GameFAQs board or something like that.
Yeah, you, the guy who translated it, maybe the 6 people who playtested it were like the only people who'd heard of it.
And the 2 people that uploaded the ISO to like ROM sites.
Yeah. And, once we actually got there, it was like, this is actually a pretty good game.
Yeah.
Like,
it's an interesting concept, making a mecha game based on a very specific toy line.
Yeah. So, yeah, like, I mean, I know the irony because I'm very prone to, like, watching the same dozen things or playing the same games over and over again. But, sometimes it's good just to be like, right, I'm going to go into this fresh. I know nothing about it. I have maybe heard 1 or 2 of the, like, elements that make it up. Fuck it. Give it a shot.
Yeah. And especially when it comes to, like, checking all these different mecha anime and seeing, like, what has basically been created throughout the genre's history, it will ideally, like, open, like, your mind enough to the point that when it comes to playing these mecha games, that you can get into the headspace of thinking about those games, how they function less in the traditional game sense with, like, other established conventional genres, and thinking about what is it actually doing to provide, like, a playable experience of this mecha fantasy. And, like, I always think that kind of extends to, like, a mantra that I have, like, stuck to, like, pretty rigorously, like, the more I've thought about it. Pretty much, I think, ever since I first started playing Armored Core, considering how you always find whenever new people have, like, tried to talk about those games, they always bring up about, like, how the controls are cumbersome and a pain in the ass. But it's like, I always bring it back to, like, these words. A mecha is a vehicle. Like, you need to think about it that way rather than trying to, like, basically have it be this, like, perfect, like, form of natural control like you would in a shooter or something. I mean, like, just take, like, well, obviously I don't have a camera, obviously, because I'm not showing my true identity, but I mean, like, you can, like, pick up any controller you got lying around in your room right now and just look at it when I say this. Like, look at the inputs on the controller, and do not think of it as a metaphor for the mecha. Think of it as the metaphor for the controls in the world itself that you are using to pilot that mecha. It is the metaphor for you, the pilot. Much of the same way how it is, like, you could think of them as being, like, the metaphor for a steering wheel and a pair of pedals when playing a racing game. Yeah. Obviously, you would never, like, an ideal racing game is, like, one where it's, like, the feel and handling of a car does not feel like you're able to make him move with perfect accuracy the same way you can as a humanoid character, because it has specific rules that and aspects of physics that it has to abide by. And naturally, when it comes to mecha, compared to a car, where cars are real things and have consistent rules that they all abide by, mecha are an entirely fictional thing, and everyone has their own interpretation of what a mecha can be. So that does make it a bit more difficult to figure out if that actually fits. But I guess with this kind of insane flow chart we're talking about, it basically loops back around to just engage with the genre. Just watch more anime.
Like, just have a look at, I don't know, 20 random shows and games, and just be like, that actually looks kind of cool.
Yeah, I wonder how I can translate that to a set of game mechanics, something like that. Also, bye, Neff. Again, it was also really great having you on as well throughout the year. Yes, it was good to just nerd out about this with people who just get it. like Neff gets it, you get it, Millennium gets it, Cool Guy gets it. Like, I still feel really happy and proud with how this year turned out, even with it being like a kind of a bit unsure at the start of being like, I've always had like just one co-commentator whenever I do like these big projects. I wonder how it's going to be with 4.
And it worked out pretty much perfectly.
Yeah, like you and everyone else all had like different like perspectives and like types of mecha that you guys enjoyed, that like brought like fun perspectives to the table each time.
Yeah, like that's the other thing as well, is that we all, like, out of the 5 of us, including yourself, none of us really had the same opinion twice.
Yeah, everyone's got
all,
a different
all of us were
background.
like, I like this, I think this is terrible. And we all brought our own interpretations to the party.
Yeah, it was a big project that we saw through to the end despite all the hurdles, and now I can definitely take the time to sit back, take a break from this, work on other projects, start working on gearing up maybe for some new Let's Play projects. Definitely talk to you about like a couple of candidates. Obviously, we just got to figure those out, and then even just
looking forward to those,
and then other things in the meanwhile. Like because I mentioned that I started doing model kit building again with that high grade YF19, and I'm like, I'm down with this. I need to buy all the other high grade versions of these Valkyries whenever they come out. This is my new hobby. And
so it begins.
Yeah. And then, other things. Who knows? Maybe I might even get back, finally break through into doing video game development again after kind of getting away from it for this long, which was kind of the... It's funny, like when I thought about doing live streams, part of it was kind of like due to like the place I was in life when I first like moved back up to where I am now, like kind of like in the early months of the pandemic, and just being like my career choice just ended up being a fucking wash. None of these places in the industry I ever want to work with. What the hell do I do? And then I settled on live streaming as just as a way to make use of like some of the free time that I couldn't just pass with more video games by myself.
Yep.
So now I think it's only fair that after putting all that time into this production for almost 3 straight years, that it's time to say goodbye and move on to revisit something.
Greener pastures.
Greener pastures. Revisit some things I thought I would have left behind for good, to think maybe there's another chance. I hope there is. It'd be really nice. This also isn't a guarantee that the first thing I'm going to do is like a mecha-based game, considering how much I've talked about, what I think should go into making a really good mecha game to begin with, and why like I find indie efforts on the front are kind of lacking. But I don't know. It could still happen. Who knows? I just need to keep my scope in check, I guess is the thing.
Yeah, it's always very easy with these kind of projects to bite off more than you can chew. Like,
especially
that's a very
when
common.
when you can't find anyone else that shares your vision to help work on it at the same time.
Yeah, it always winds up being either one person running roughshod over everyone or not having any kind of unified vision.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like I've been working with a team on a game since about April or so, and the number of arguments we have over even like small details is, it's crazy. I mean, we do eventually, get everything sorted out, but yeah, like the problem of having no one come in and say, right, shut up, we're doing this now. It's something very common with indie projects in general.
Yeah. There are times like these where I look at like the Japanese side of the industry, and more specifically, I look at like Hi-Fi Rush and its creative director, and I'm like, this motherfucking white dude living in Japan is basically got my dream job. Like, he gets to direct his own video game and was mentored by Shinji Mikami. Who could have asked for anything more?
Now, the big question is, if I eat his brain, do I become him?
Which one, John Johannes or Shinji Mikami?
Who's likely to be more lightly guarded is the question. Satire.
Maybe his heart, I don't know. Well,
I mean, start with one. You've already got the body.
Yeah, it's something. Well, I guess with that long kind of closing, giving everyone their assignment for 2024, the inspiration to engage with this wonderful, wonderful genre of fiction and the ways that it manifests in either passive media or directly interactable media. Kaboom, thank you once again so very much for being with me on this journey.
I always say it's been a pleasure, but at the end of this, I'd also say it's been an honor.
Yes, and obviously we'll see each other again sometime soon on like whatever projects that we decide on, where you'll be able to hear our lovely voices again.
Yep, we both have projects hopefully coming up in the new year that will involve some collaboration in some form or another.
Yes.
So keep posted. You will be hearing us again.
Yes, and some of them, even though this is the end of regular streams, don't think this might be the end of streams altogether. We've talked about like a stream idea that like we never really got around to doing because of circumstances that came up last year. But it's probably something where if we do a live stream again like this, it'll probably be a very different layout, and it will also be like very rare special events,
Oh, yes.
I'm just just to give you a hint of what that might be, look forward to what happens when I, as a secret agent, am listening to the voice in my head make all the wrong decisions.
Man, it's going to be so weird being the voice in someone else's head for a change.
Yeah, funny that.
I'm so used to my own, it's going to be bizarre.
Yeah. So, that's what's on the horizon. And everyone else at home, I hope you all have like a lovely weekend, and again, a good new year. Here's the 2024, bringing something good for all of us.
Amen to that.
Play us out, Jam Project.
たった一つ守り続けた誇りは崩はしないさ。 誇れるものは好みを投げ出す勇気お前を信じ全てを託した願いを見捨てるなきっといつかたどり着けるさ誰もが夢見る場所へお前が静かに眠れる日まで全てをかけて戦え未来への答えなど絶えずくつかめはしない人は皆闇の中を手探りでさまよう問いかけろ何度でも己の胸に夢を追うこととは戦うこと
まばゆい空よ我が友よ遠く去りゆく地球よ
旅路の果ての新たな世界を信じてただ一つ守り続けた誇りは消せはしないさ何故生まれ戦い続ける定めを分かち合うきっといつかたどり着けるさ鋼の意志と強さで体に受けた傷の数だけ心に刻めどうしろ
Target verified. Commencing hostilities. Their true strength can't be gauged from this. Show me what you can do.
誇れるものは好みを投げ出す勇気お前を信じ全てを託した願いを見捨てるなただ一つ守り続けた誇りは消せはしないさ体に受けた傷の数だけ心に刻めどうしろお前が静かに眠れる日まで全てをかけ